1105.
Medical in Collinsville.
Medical, go ahead.
We're going to be non-emergent to Bailey Medical, starting mileage is 0.
Copy 1106.
Fortune Tulsa 28.
Baker 14, go ahead.
John out of Nora 701. Should come back to Dodge Crossroad. Black in color.
Voice clear.
Lightning strike. Okay.
I see OS 4. I'm not seeing anything. We're going to be ETL back tonight.
Is this Russia? Let's see what else we can see about the facility.
Point Apartments, 13195 East 31st Street.
It says the standard procedure at a pipeline terminal like the Explorer Pipeline's Glenpool facility is to cut it off, I guess. The pipeline feeding the tank farm can be shut down from the control center or locally. Individual tanks have isolation valves so operators can stop product from flowing into or out of a burning or threatened tank. I'm not running up to the tank, though, to shut that shit off. If it exploded and there's fire and gas everywhere. And past fires at the same site, notably in 2006. The reporter said 2003, but this one's saying 2006. Facility staff quickly activated emergency systems and isolated the affected area. They also transferred product out of the threatened tanks.
With the DOJ finally doing something, and including the head of the SPLC, who has been caught, and we knew this back at the time, honchoing and running major operations against myself and InfoWars and my crew and my family, trying to shut us down, trying to find dirt or manufacture dirt to put us in prison. That was the real point of all those lawsuits, and of course they didn't. And you're about to see some fireworks, and I said, I'll believe it when I see it, and that was specifically when the SPLC got indicted. And and now that we've got all the information that we privately got dealing with them, and in their own bragging about how they infiltrated us, they are in a lot of trouble. And I think there's a very good chance these folks are going to get indicted for what they did. And I was told at the time, and Todd Blanche actually said he'd meet with me. And then I told the reporter that he reached out to and talked to, a well-known reporter, tell him to F off, because I thought he wanted to set me up or something. And that still could have been the case. So I was basically told, we've got other ways to go at this. We're not really killing this. We want to meet with you about what was done to you by the Biden DOJ. And I talked about this on air, and I just said, I don't believe that, F off. Now, maybe I was wrong. I'm not holding my breath. But now I've got the Justice Department and the FBI reaching out. I talked to another FBI source, and they've been talking to those folks about ongoing things. And so there's a lot here. I don't want to go into a lot of what we know is really bad, but I do want to cover a lot of new stuff in the next hour. So Norm Pattis, who's been a Proud Boy lawyer and my lawyer, and was the first person during all this to say, I think DOJ is running, I think the SPLC. This is during the depositions and everything, like 4 or 5 years ago. And then now that's come out. We also know that his law firm got hacked to get a bunch of information. Of course, it was nothing there criminal, but they tried to use that. Also know that and a lot of other things happened. Nothing there criminal. He'll be joining us coming up in the next hour at noon, the second hour. And 30 minutes into that, so will Kyle Seraphin, who's been talking to his high-level FBI sources, and we'll just leave it at that, and we'll just stop right there. But he's proven to have amazing sources, and there are ongoing criminal investigations, and they got a lot of new stuff about to come down from our sources that I've confirming what Todd Blanche has said. So we'll see. I mean, I want to believe. I tell you, I want to believe Todd Blanche is going to do something. You know, he reportedly told Trump, "You make me the AG, I'll take the gloves off." Well, there's Todd Blanche right there. We're waiting. We'd love to hear the bugle call. We'd love to hear the cavalry call. And the cavalry come over the hill here. And again, I'm not being naive, but why would they start indicting these people? And why would they be investigating what happened to me if they weren't going to do something? But I tell you, if I start seeing some of that, it's going to be wild. But I'm going to table that for now. We'll spend an hour or so on that and give you details next hour. And then I'm sure I'll hold Seraphin over if he has time to get into some of all the other big issues that aren't related to me. But again, even if this wasn't happening to myself and the crew, I'd be on this. I mean, this is a big story. And they told us a lot more was about to come out about the SPLC. And I've told you for years it was the SPLC. I told you back at the time. Because these guys just think they're above the law, think they can do whatever they want. And they're an private intelligence agency cutout. Long before NATO was in the news, I told you decades ago that they're nesting inside NATO. That way they can get outside congressional review. A lot of the dirty tricks, the shadow government, deep state runs, they run out of other State Department funding mechanisms. And I remember like 8 years ago, they were having public NATO meetings saying, we're not going to stop with just Julian Assange and Alex Jones. We're going to get everybody. We're going to censor everybody. And I'm reading these quotes in the Wall Street Journal on him. It'll make your skin crawl. And when all you're doing is teaching people how this works, having guests on like Mike Benz, he's worked inside the system to show you documents. We're just here going over all of this. But what's come out in a lot of documents, what they really hate about me is they say over and over again, he gets outside the narrative, he creates new narratives that the public believes in. Well, that's because they turn out to be true. Like last week, I announced second wave of Spanish-held territories in Morocco. And people would go to ChatGPT or Grok and say, is this true? And it would be like, well, no new invasion has been announced, but tens of thousands of more migrants are coming across. Well, I mean, I'm going to call it an invasion. Now, the news today is all over second wave of invasion. So, I'm sorry, I see tens of thousands more pouring across, hundreds of videos. It's all confirmed. It's on the local news. No one's calling it an invasion. Back when Obama was telling the caravans come up here, I called it an invasion. I mean, it's my prerogative to have my opinion, but that's not my opinion. It's an invasion. You have the Moroccan Border Patrol pushing them in, releasing the prisoners, beating them with billy clubs to swim around the seawall into Spain. They're running an attack. The State Department called for it 4 months ago and gave them $40 million to do it, all because they're pissed off at Spain, because Spain won't let them use their bases for B-2 bombers, whatever. The point is the Spanish people don't deserve to have a Moorish invasion 2.0. That's what's called Morocco, land of the Moors. That's who invaded and took over Spain for hundreds of years. Oh, we got a stack of stuff. I've got probably, let's not exaggerate, 50, 60 videos that are bonker town insane of the new wave invasion. One started 2.5 weeks ago, and then they said, we've kicked them all out. Everything's fine. Half of them didn't leave, it's estimated. Now tens of thousands more poured across. I mean, I got rape, murder, carjacking, police getting shot. I mean, a lot of this is, I don't even want to air, it's so violent. Pregnant women getting attacked. These are all the videos just yesterday you're seeing on screen. I mean, literally dozens and dozens of these, hardcore. So that's all coming up. What they don't like is I'll just call something like it is, and then people go, oh yeah, that is what that is. And then they can't just deny that there's not an invasion, or there's no war in Iran, and we're not going to sit there and play like, no, this is a full-bore war. And Congress should either pass it and declare war or stop it. It's called the War Powers Act. And they're like, no, come on, it's not a war. I mean, we paused the war. It's back on. So we'll be getting to all of that today as well. There is so much. Iran shifts from defense to fully offense, close quote, posture, denies Trump has back channel with the IRGC. Trump threatens to bomb U.S. ally Oman as Iran agreement expires. The Atlantic reports on NATO's ultimate nightmare, a two-front war with China in the South China Sea and with Russia in Europe. South China Sea breakdown leaves Navy destroyer powerless for several days. Strategic petroleum reserve depletion raises questions about integrity of oil caverns. Israel's Ben Gvir on TV advocates killing at least 30 or 40 people in Gaza a day as a quota, as new video of Israeli settlers running into the last Christian town in the West Bank and going completely berserk has now come out. This is intense, intense stuff. We'll also get into the latest on Fauci, a genuine scandal. Former ABC News journalist Terry Moran claims 2021 story about COVID being a lab leak was spiked by Anthony Fauci. What do you mean he claims it? By 2022, the emails got released because the head of the vice president, deputy head of the EcoHealth Alliance, who ran the Wuhan operation, we've had him on the show, Dr. Huff, had already given Congress a year before all of the emails and documents, and then those were released to the public, where Fauci was working with the CIA to suppress the entire corporate media and Congress to say it came out of a grocery store, a wet market, a live animal market, or out of some stupid bat cave. When it didn't even come out of Wuhan, it got made at Chapel Hill, North Carolina, under orders of Obama. We covered it in 2015 before it even got released. It's a huge scandal, all over the news. That's why they moved it to Wuhan. So we've got that. Fauci's in hiding as ABC censorship bombshell explodes. He's refused to testify to Congress. So they're going to haul him in front of it. They've already referred criminal charges from the Senate on him for contempt. New text revealed Fauci knew initial studies of COVID vax did not include women in first trimester because they didn't want it included because they already knew what it would do. We've got that information. We also have the numbers on Trump, and I can confirm these from internal Republican pollsters. They are the lowest ever, spelling serious problems in the midterms, but a lot of Trump's white pill neocon folks that were former Never Trumpers, they just attack anybody that points out that Trump needs to course correct and quickly. And then I say, and, there's a lot more. Did you know British funded NGOs are pushing for a law for age verification to be able to get on the internet for everybody, an internet ID, the key to their total control grid? And we're not talking about in England. We're talking about in America. British government-funded groups push age verification bills in 21 U.S. states. And again, this is what globalism is. We have the EU trying to get laws and suing U.S. companies, individuals. We have the UK, Australia doing it. We have Brazil doing it. What are these foreign governments doing meddling inside our country? It should be illegal. Oh, I'm being anti-British. No, I'm against their corrupt communist Fabian socialist government doing that. Just like I'm not against Israel, not against the Jews. A lot of people are. The more fashionable, the more Hitler they are. That's not me, not Hitler. I legitimately am against Israel trying to run our foreign and domestic policy. And I'm against this. And I'm against China trying to control so much of our, not just federal government, but legislatures as well. The truth is, America is being gang raped by foreign interests, and I've had enough of it. When I criticize the communist Chinese government, I'm criticizing Chinese people. That all goes without saying. So why don't we criticize Ben Gvir basically calling for genocide and just quotas like the Nazis did? Why is that bad? What he's doing is bad. So that's coming up today as well. But the first thing I want to start getting to is this. We got a couple videos on the list. So let's have the guys pull those up because I don't have the numbers here for you. This is extremely important information because this is something we can do something about. Look at these headlines. Overhead shot, please. Ivermectin full dosage schedule for cancers and prevention. Look at these studies. Got a whole bunch of peer-reviewed scientific studies, real-world clinical outcomes of ivermectin and benzodol. Cancer patients results from a prospective observational cohort. PubMed. Whole bunch of these studies. Here's one, clip 24. We found an 84% of cancer patients taking ivermectin with benzidol declared their cancer had completely disappeared, shrunk, or stopped spreading after 6 months. Our study is now peer-reviewed and published in the International Institute of Anti-Cancer Research. And then we have more other studies here about ivermectin by itself and what happened with that. Isn't that just interesting? We could spend hours on this, and this has been known for decades, but now it's being documented on top of documented on top of documented, and is an extremely, extremely good thing. And I personally have a good friend who was diagnosed with larynx cancer, and they wanted to cut his larynx out. And just a few weeks ago, he said nope, and went on ivermectin and benzidol, and he could hardly talk. It had swollen up so much, and now it's gone down, they estimate, by about 60%, and he can talk great, and it's still shrinking, and he feels great. We'll see what happens there. Remember, Mel Gibson famously went on last year on Joe Rogan, talking about how many of his friends were dying of cancer. They told him, go home and die. They took ivermectin and benzidol, and it reversed. Not saying it's an absolute 100%, but it's something they've known about. And remember, it got declassified this year by Trump, by Tulsi Gabbard, to their credit, that in the 50s, the Russians had similar anti-parasitic drugs that they found an almost 100% reversal if caught early enough, and the CIA suppressed that. Just type it into a search engine. CIA suppressed Russian studies showing anti-parasitic drugs were the closest thing to a cancer cure, or would knock out cancer. Pull it up for yourself. They've known this. That's in the 1950s. You don't think people didn't know about that? Let that sink in. Just think about that for a little while here. Oh, did you know about potential cancer cure? What we know. Oh, March of this year, Newsweek, about anti-parasite drugs, very similar to ivermectin and benzidol.
It's because the past 50 years of cancer research was researching how to give us cancer.
Isn't that interesting? And, you know, the Japanese developed ivermectin and won a Nobel Prize. They prize carp over there. I mean, they'll pay millions of dollars for ornamental goldfish, and particularly beautiful ones that, and it's like a thing over there for hundreds of years. And they just did all sorts of tests with their scientists and found, oh, this chemical, just breaking all of this down with an epidemiologist and an administrator. Here it is.
We just published the largest real-world study on the ivermectin and mebendazole for cancer. We had 200 cancer patients. We found 84.4% of them benefited in their cancer treatment. So half of them actually either their cancers disappeared reportedly and went away, no evidence of disease it's called, or the tumors shrank. It's called tumor regression. And again, that was about half. And then 36% the tumors stabilized, the cancer stabilized, it stopped spreading. So 84.4% of those individuals benefited.
Another area that very few people know about is ivermectin has effect on neurological conditions. And the ones that I've had the most success with have been Parkinson's and Alzheimer's disease. And again, it's a very simple thing. I discovered it by accident. There was a mouse model of sort of Parkinsonism. And for Alzheimer's, you can't even find the research because it's been scrubbed from Google. So there's a study that was done, a preclinical study on ivermectin and Alzheimer's, where the researchers concluded that ivermectin has an effect on Alzheimer's and should be studied. It's been scrubbed from Google. If you go on DuckDuckGo, you can actually get the abstract of that study. But in Google, it's completely scrubbed. You just see the titles, it was done in the Middle East, and it's nowhere to be found. You can't get a PDF of the article, nothing. Completely scrubbed. Parkinson's disease, I've used high doses of ivermectin, something like 60 milligrams, 72 milligrams, and these patients are responding. They have improvement in symptoms, improvement in movement. I have a patient who was barely mobile on maximum doses of standard treatment, who after a few weeks of high dose ivermectin started playing golf. And she hadn't been able to play golf for many years. And I've seen reversal in a number of Parkinson's disease patients. Now, Alzheimer's, this is where it gets really fascinating and really blew my mind. As patients sort of started asking me, could I use it for my 90-year-old father or mother and so on. And I said, look, start with a low dose. Let's see what happens, right? Because the older you are, you might have some side effects with ivermectin. There's, if you give too high of a dose to an older person, you might get a little bit of confusion, a little bit of instability on the feet. And so start with 12 milligrams. And these, the family members are trying. And some of these patients are recognizing family members after just a couple of doses. They're recognizing family members they haven't recognized in years. Their memories are coming back. So they start reminiscing. They remember things. Their cognitive ability starts to come back. Literally just 12 milligrams, 24 milligrams of ivermectin for a few days, 4 or 5 days. Just try it. And I tell people, just try, report back to me. And I had one patient who was actually taken off hospice because they were doing so well. It's just incredible. And people tell me, they get this precious time back with their loved ones. And especially with someone who's, been suffering from Alzheimer's for many years, you feel like you've lost your loved one, and then suddenly they're back. They say, my grandma's back. She's got her sense of humor back. Her memories are back. And this is literally with a couple of pills of ivermectin.
That's Dr. William Makis, MD. Folks, I could show you 1,000 videos, newscasts. This is all well-known, but it's true. Big Pharma has gone to Google and paid them billions to suppress everything. Not just about this.
Gotta be honest, that guy makes it sound like pretty enticing to join the ivermectin cult.
But just stuff across the board. Because they want to control you. They want to dumb you down. There are thousands and thousands of incredible drugs. It's not that all drugs are bad that get developed. They want you to have the expensive, toxic bad ones because the drug companies, the insurance companies are co-owned. You wonder why your insurance company will pay for some super expensive drug. It's because they're getting upwards of half of the money in a rebate. Most of the money that you think they're paying their other subsidiary. It's all just a giant scam, and it's pure evil. So when I tell you to research ivermectin, that's important. From all the studies I've seen, benzidol is even more powerful. And together, they're incredible. Do your own research. That's why I tell you, do your own research on ivermectin and benzidol. The bad guys don't want you to know this information. All right, we're going to come back, and we're going to get into, what will I get into next? There's so much here. Stay with us. We'll be right back. I'm extremely excited about this. You know we always have the strongest turmeric at thealexjonestore.com, and the capsules are 95% curcuminoid. That is the strongest in the market. So the very same great manufacturer that made this made it as a liquid tincture, the strongest on the market, and even better than powder because there's even better absorption. Ultimate turmeric, and it's got a bunch of other amazing ingredients. They're known to supercharge turmeric. I know so many people that Advil doesn't work when they have a sprained ankle or arthritis, but when they take our brand of turmeric, they go, this works better than Advil. And including family I've had that's like, well, this pill's not as big as my other turmeric. My other turmeric helps, but I got to take a bunch of the pills. I said, just take 2 of these. And whether it's my dad or my wife or anybody, they're like, wow, this worked better. Why? Because those aren't concentrates. Those are raw turmeric. This raw turmeric's 4 to 5% curcuminoid. 95. Okay? So we're very excited about this tincture. Just a half dropper a day. So good for your whole body. 95% curcuminoids. The liquid is better absorption. And this is 60 servings per bottle. So 2 month supply. And right now, if you're a subscriber, you just sign up to lock in at 50%, canceling time for free. You lock in at 50% off. It's 25% off for everybody if you just buy it straight off at thealexjonestore.com. The new Ultimate Liquid Turmeric Tincture. And it's got a bunch of other really cool stuff in it as well. Not just concentrated turmeric root, curcumin lunga, the strongest part, but ginger root concentrated, Zingbeer officinal is the Latin for it, and pepperdine concentrated black pepper extract. All of it synergistically works together. 250 milligrams and just a half dropper of the turmeric concentrate, 12 milligrams of the concentrated ginger, and 100 of the pepperdine black pepper extract. Very strong, an amazing product. The newest product at thealexjonestore.com. Liquid tincture, superior absorption. Pepperdine inclusion is the difference maker. Turmeric without pepperdine is largely wasted. Most budget companies do that. Natural enzymes and things in the concentrated pepper get into the cells quicker. Triple ingredient synergy. Turmeric, ginger, concentrated black pepper, 60 servings, vegan-friendly, GMO-free, and gluten-free, free of major allergies, natural flavors only. No additives or synthetic flavorings, and it funds this operation. And anybody getting the products, the other great supplements at thealexjonestore.com, the t-shirts, the collectible coins that are about to sell out, the amazing shower filters that are the highest rated, taking out the most toxins of any brand at an incredibly low price, should be a VIP. Every month in your profile, it charges you $30. You can cancel anytime for free. You instantly, when you're charged, get $40 in your profile to spend. Special deals, special offers, and sales on top of all the other sales. Everyone should be a VIP. And if you're worried about some products that sell out from time to time, just become a subscriber and lock in 50% off on all future orders of that product. As long as you stay subscribed, cancel anytime. So become a VIP, become a subscriber, and lock it in with no commitment from you, but it's locked in for you if you choose to keep it locked in at thealexjonestore.com. New liquid ultimate turmeric, the strongest on the market. So good for your whole body and inflammation. Get yours now at thealexjonestore.com.
Real time, uncensored, unstoppable. Alex Jones Live.
Wanna do a faucet. Gonna do a faucet. Click on the animal jumps the highest. Clam. I picked clam.
I'm gonna steal me a silver stallion with not a mark upon his silky hide. Teach him he can trust me like a brother. One day we'll saddle up and ride. And we're gonna ride, we're gonna ride, riding like a one-eyed jack of diamonds with the devil close behind. We're gonna ride.
Waging war on corruption, crashing the lies and disinformation. All right, let me hit something really big and really important right now. And I'm going to revisit this later in the broadcast as we learn more. But obviously, it was a wonderful thing 3.5, 4 years ago when Elon Musk bought Twitter and turned it around and made it an engine of free speech. It went from being the number 6th site in the world for news and information to being number 1 within just 2 years. And changed the world, got Trump elected, a lot of good. And some will say, wait, you say Trump's bad now. You admit you were wrong to support him. I never said Trump's worse than the Democrats. He's better. I never said he didn't do a lot of good in his first administration and then fighting for the presidency just by the deep state coming after him. That exposed their corruption. And he didn't launch the wars when he was first in. That's why I was so confident he wouldn't. That's why we were so shocked. When we criticized Trump, I know most of you understand this, for things he's gone sideways on is to try to get him to correct. And yeah, when he says, and his surrogates say, let's go ahead and just nuke Iran, I'm like, okay, well, if you try that, you need to be removed from office. Doesn't mean removed from office. It means if he starts going down that road, we got to hit the brakes on this. So what Musk did with X has been amazing. And, you know, we've had some days where we've had 20 million people watching the live stream there alone. Usually it gets up to like 500,000, a million. We're on Rumble or a lot of other platforms. We're on hundreds of radio stations. We have our own streams. But it's still a very, very important platform. Then we take clips out of the show and tens of millions every day watch those. And people copy those, and we can't even keep track of how many views it gets being posted.
Don't ask.
So we'll put those posts on X I did yesterday and today back up so I can read them. On Friday, our social media people, there's two of them here, Lewis and one other great person, said, man, they really changed the algorithm in the back end. It's really screwing up a bunch of stuff. People are complaining. They'll probably work the bugs out they usually do. The interface has got a lot of issues. And then Saturday, we did a live show, and it had regular, high views. But still there was some wonkiness and some problems. And then Sunday night, which is always a big show, we come in, and there was a 90+% reduction in the amount of people that would just, on a normal show, not a big show. All the shows are big, but I mean the really big ones. It was 90% or more less people. And clearly, that was the algorithm, because it also wouldn't post the live feeds.
90% or more or less.
I was talking about social media people. They were showing me posts and things on sports sites and other news sites that aren't even really political, and whole pages of people complaining and prominent tech people saying, yeah, X has got some major bugs with this change. So I said, looks like it's probably not censorship. Looks like it's a bug with whatever change they've had. And I sent post on X to Elon saying, you're probably aware of this, but in case you aren't, please get on this. And then I noticed the bots and some of the real people, about 75%, I would say, of the post. This morning on my original post I shot last night when I got off the air, I shot just a couple-minute post saying, this may not be censorship, probably isn't, probably just to change the algorithm. A lot of times when they're working bugs out, stuff like this happens. But regardless, it's throwing a wet blanket on live streams. I saw people like the Quartering, who I've had on the show, who I like, but really doesn't like me now because I'm not pro-war. Thinks I'm a Qatarian or something. Saying, hey, buddy, it's just because your Pakistani bots are asleep. And, everybody hates you now. No, you don't just suddenly lose 90% of your viewers overnight, right when an algorithm change happens, and they don't show your live feed, and they don't show anybody else's live feed, including non-political stuff. People are complaining across the board, and I'm not singling out the guy that does the courting. I was just bringing that up because it's known. It was just comment. Like, that's what annoys me about the white pill Trump supporters, is they just get in lockstep, and they make everything about the battle for Trump and his personality and the battle of defending Trump. Not the battle of issues, not the battle of us that got him in power, keeping him on the straight and narrow, but just vitriolically attacking anyone that even mildly criticizes Trump in any way. And that's a big mistake Trump makes as well. He just came out and rips Fox host Shannon Bream, compares her show to the worst of fake CNN, and he says because he notices a lot of her guests criticize him. I mean, so what? And then Trump wants Jimmy Kimmel and people taken off the air because they criticize him. I don't like Jimmy Kimmel. He's criticized me, but his ratings are in the tank. No one cares. And what is a president involved in trying to have the FCC silence people? That's the kind of crap the Democrats did. I opposed it with them. I oppose it with you. Got the British government over here involved in 21 states trying to restrict our free speech. I don't care if it's the Israelis, Trump, the Brits, the Chinese, or the Easter Bunny. But again, it's just frustrating that We went out, checked it, said, looks like it's not censorship, but it's having that effect. This algorithm's really screwed up. It's putting a wet blanket on everybody's live stream, including sports shows. You name it. Everybody's complaining. Please fix it. Oh, you lost your audience. Nanny, nanny, boo-boo. Stick your head in doo-doo. You can't come to the cool kid table in 5th grade. We don't want you at our Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein table. And I'm just like, when did you guys become 10-year-olds? I mean, seriously. I said, this is probably a bug. It needs to be fixed. This absolutely sucks. And I'm drawing attention to it. And you're like, no. Everyone just stopped listening to you because you're anti-Iran war and you question Charlie Kirk. Well, you know, most people don't believe the official Charlie Kirk story. The numbers are clear. You know 80+% of Americans are against this war, including 65% of Republican voters in major polls. It's even higher in some. I don't go do what I do on air and go, oh, look, stick my finger in the wind, what's popular. But in many cases, I do promote a popular view. Like I'm against Flock and the way it's being used. Almost everybody else is. But I was talking about the surveillance stuff 30 years ago. But I don't go, oh, that's popular. Let me be that. When something's unpopular, but it's the truth, I will do it. Like I did on the morning of 9/11, saying clearly those were bombs in the buildings. Then the local news announced they blew up Building 7. And the police said, get back, they're blowing it up. Back then, people didn't archive that stuff. That was pre-YouTube. People said I was a liar, and about 5 years later, they uploaded all the archives on all the major channels for whatever reason, and there was dozens of TV channels, BBC, CNN, NPR, ABC Local, all saying they blew up Building 7. Larry Silverstein gave an interview and said they blew it up to PBS. But my point is, I went from 200 and something stations down to like 30 in 1 month. And my revenue went down about 90%. That's okay. Because I have integrity, and I didn't even think about it. The station was very nice, too. They called me and said, listen, you have high ratings here. People really love you. I mean, I was like the up-and-comer in talk radio then. I mean, just dominating. Had, Roger Ailes contacted me through Fox, wanting to, work with me, all the rest of the stuff. And, that put the brakes on that real quick. They came around again later. But the point is that, but they wanted to control me, so I didn't take the job to be, quote, Limbaugh's replacement, And so again, these people, like I'm in junior high, because you can go to the original post I did last night about how, whether this is censorship or not, it's having that effect. My first post last night, I think it's at about 6:30, guys on X, pull that up. And you can go to the comments in there, and I mean, when I say 75%, it's like the majority who flood in there to have a little celebration. They're like, oh, everybody hates you. Everybody's tuned out from you, blah, blah, blah. Trying to make me feel bad. Here, I'll pull it up for you. Trying to make me go, oh my goodness, you don't like me now, so I'm going to give up. Yeah, that's some of the comments in the original post. Let's scroll up to the top. Let's scroll up to the top so people can see the actual name of the video, because I forget it, so people can go see it. Yeah, there it is. Red alert, live shows on X, 90% reduction in viewers after change in algorithm. Are we witnessing mass censorship or just a huge bug in the system? Alex Jones fires the bat signal to Elon Musk. And you scroll down and read it for yourself. I haven't looked at it since this morning. It is person after person after person after person after person saying that, no, there's no censorship. No, there's no problem. I mean, look at the quartering. Let's scroll up. Maybe the Pakistani bots are asleep. Alex, as a daily viewer, I have personally tuned out since you've been on this "the Jews killed Charlie Kirk" nonsense. I'll tune back in when you come back to your senses. What did my post have to do with Jews? I didn't say the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. That's what most of the internet thinks. I've looked at all the angles. So I always love the straw man, too.
Oh, shit.
Hey, quartering. I'll give you $10,000. You can give me a clip of me saying the Jews killed Charlie Kirk. 10,000, buddy. Should be real easy. I bet you more, but that's about what I got in my bank account. So challenge is there, pal.
Oh, shit.
What did I say? It's a sudden and dramatic change across X, which now you can go to all the forums about X on X, and they're like, yeah, this totally sucks.
This is
I mean, you've got
hilarious.
live show streams I saw this morning that are like women doing women's hair that usually have like 300,000 viewers, or like, I've got 5,000 viewers. I haven't had this in years. What's going on? Well, I guess the Pakistani bots weren't very busy for you, sweetheart. I love the pretending that I haven't been on air 32 years, pretending like we don't have tens of billions of views, pretending like we haven't been #1 for many years running off and on. It's like, oh, Jones has a big audience because Pakistani bots are promoting him. Oh, yeah, I'm a real big friend of Pakistan. I say a lot of really nice stuff about Pakistan. I'm like a famous Islamophobe. I'm calling for the new crusades, but I'm on the Muslim payroll. Oh, Tucker Quatarlson? Well, how about Donald Quatarlson? Donald, what's a joke name combining Trump and Qatar? Trakar?
No. What the fuck?
Trump car? I can't think of something funny. Hell, let's use ChatGPT or Grok for that. Give us silly nicknames, silly combinations of Trump and Qatar, and let's come up with one of those. Not that I even hate Trump. It's just that you can't sit there and say everybody that's critical of these wars or all of this are working for Qatar while Trump got a $300 million airplane from him and all the rest of it. And those other Gulf states pump billions into his Bitcoin stuff.
Actually true.
I mean, just give me a break. I'm not even mad at you. It's just like ridiculous.
The court rings in a toe-to-toe with Alex Jones.
We're seeing what's happening. What's happening with your streams. We want to know about it. We want to get on top of this. Silly name combos for Trump and Qatar. Trump, Qatar. Trump, Qatar.
The Donald of Doha.
Trump. Donald Qatar. Trump Al Thani. The Donald of Doha. Emir Trump.
Make Qatar great again.
Qatarald. Big Orange Qatar. Trump of the Sands. Make Qatar great again. MQGA.
Trump.
Seek Trump. Seek Don. Trumpy the Qatari. Golden Dome Donald. Q Trump. Doha Don. Oh, that's a good one. Doha. Yeah, folks, you say I work for Qatar or Pakistan with no evidence is ridiculous. I'm like a piranha. I'm sorry to have to do it, attacking the Pakistani invasion of Europe. And then meanwhile, you got, put that back up. I like the last one best. Doha Don. That's a good one right there.
It's not even a good one.
What is that one? Bonus ridiculous ones.
Trumpistani Light.
Trumpistani Light. Qatar's favorite orange. The art of the deal with camels. Oh, so that's what Grok came up with? Let's ask ChatGPT or Gemini. But they're so politically correct, it'll probably have nothing. All right. I didn't mean to go off on a jag about that, but we've got other serious censorship news on this front. Did you hear? British NGOs are trying to get total age verification for everyone, including 80-year-olds, to get online. That means internet ID, which means internet tracking, which means internet taxation and control, and they can shut you off the internet with a social credit score. Oh, and that's not in the UK. They already passed that there. Now their NGOs are in a whole bunch of states trying to pass it. This is up at AlexJonesLive.com. British groups push age verification bills in 21 U.S. states. Oh, really? So is the EU. The bill is
pretty nice.
Practical and realistic, drawing as it does on the UK's Age Appropriate Design Code, AADC, which is censoring everybody now, that has a joint statement by two authors of California's Age Appropriate Design Code for Five Rights Foundation, the British NGO that reportedly helped write it, and they're lobbying and funding, read the article, in 21 states. So a foreign government partnered with California to ram this down our throat. People say, I don't care about California, wall them off. They're the testing ground, the invasion point. So this is the Age Verification Providers Association, is a British trade association whose members supply age verification and estimation technology. They also want our governments to buy it from them. It supports the Online Safety Act, and it has published for sites within the Act's scope to run age checks on VPN users, treating the tool people use to escape checking as grounds for another check. So what they want to kill is anonymous surfing. This is bad, bad, bad. Texas forces Discord to implement UK-style age verification and safety rules. Fox News. And it turns out it's coming out of the UK. You see? And 39 states have passed laws that if you criticize Israel in any way in a documented form, it's a felony if you accept money or anyone in the state gives you a contract to paint the school, do a road, do a remodel, do trash pickup, porta potties, catering to a state or government agency, you name it. That's crazy. But I am doing that because the Qatarians, Qatar sent me money to say that. No, it's tyranny. It's tyranny, ladies and gentlemen. It's absolute garbage. Meanwhile, House Majority Leader Steve Scalise says the Democrat Party has been taken over by the bullshit revolution, and the left's like, oh, red scare, red scare. It ain't a red scare when you got commies running out of your ears, coming out of the woodwork. And we got a lot of sick statements by the Democrat Socialist America, but they're being matched by Hakeem Jeffries, calls Supreme Court a subsidiary of MAGA, threatens to expand and pack court if the Dems take power, which on the course we are now, they are. And what are all you white pillars that call us all traitors that criticize Trump doing things he said he wouldn't, that aren't part of original MAGA, that'll also make us lose the midterms? What are you going to do when we lose the midterms? And what are you going to do when he's gone? Because even I was in a debate a few weeks ago with these guys up in Dallas, they're like, we got to stick with Trump. We need to keep doing with Trump. And then Trump posts over the weekend on Truth Social, him with a hat says 2028 Trump, and he says, we will win. He's not going to be able to get around the constitutional amendment and do that. That's delusional. He's 80 years old, folks. But no, they're really saying no, there'll be a big enough crisis and he'll be able to stay in power. Remember when they had
Probably talking about one of his sons running or something.
Zelensky in the White House, and Zelensky's like, well, I suspend elections because there is war. You do not have election during war, which you always do in our country. And Trump goes, I like that. That's a great idea. I need to do that. And at the time I said, oh, I'm sure that's a joke, but I'm not so sure. And if I get attacked for criticizing this, he's the one posting the image. Oh, he's not doing that. Shut up. You know, I want to ask all the neocon acolytes, the neocon converts. Let's take the guy from the quartering. In fact, I want him to come on the show. Would you support a third term? Am I a traitor if I don't support that? Again, I'm talking about what do we do after Trump? We got to get positioned. We got to reject a bunch of stuff he's done in our rhetoric, position ourselves in the party, in the Republican Party, to then explain to voters, no. We're going to continue to deliver on what Trump delivered part of the way on, but not all the way. I don't like this third party talk because it'll just end up pulling from the Republicans, even though they've got a lot of problems. I understand people forming one to inject real issues and as a threat to the Republican Party, and people have a right to do it. I'm not saying they're bad, but I saw a lot of people saying, Jones wants to split the Republican Party. Jones, no, I don't. Trump's the one that split the Republican Party with his behavior. Look at him right there. Trump 2028. We're going to win. He was fulfilling all of his promises and didn't look like he was having a lot of health problems and everything else. If they had some legal way to get that amendment repealed, maybe I'd support it. Yeah. But going sideways and doing all this stuff, no, I don't support Trump running again for a third term. Come on, people. All right, we're going to break. The SPLC's been indicted again, their head, and in the investigation, it's coming out. Everything else illegally spying on yours truly to rig show trials against us. I got inside baseball that's not in the news. I don't have speculation. I got confirmation, and it's been given to the DOJ and the FBI, and more is going to be given. So we'll see what happens with our little pals, but definitely I got a ironclad lawsuit against these guys now. Ironclad. and they're little moles that thought what they did was funny and thought what they did was cute. It's not. Now, there's a huge special deal running right now at the AlexJonesStore.com. This is a product you want to take continually, so this is a particularly insane deal. Because I happen to know this is at cost. In fact, I'm a little upset with them even doing this. The highest quality bovine colostrum concentrated,
pick the animal,
72% off with subscription, and it just charges you each month. You get a canister of it for $19.59 a month. That is just totally insane.
Some clams.
And then you can cancel anytime for free. Gut health, immune health, nutrient absorption, whole body recovery. Use just one click on your profile. You subscribe to it, and you get it at cost. And the idea in this is that you'll love it so much, and you'll get other products that it's worth it. But this is an insane good deal. Lock it in for life as long as you stay subscribed. Only for the first 1,000 people. Oh, I knew there had to be a catch. That is insane. After that, it goes back to $34.95, which is still an insanely good deal. These are moving fast. Yeah, the same thing sells under another name in Whole Foods for $60. And this is just a top private label, folks. We don't reinvent the wheel. It's just the best. These are moving fast. Once these 1,000 are gone, it's gone. Oh, and also, the widest selection of Patriot apparel and more. But while you're on the site, be sure to get the methylene blue and the capsules and the tincture. We've got the best and all the other great products that will enrich your life at thealexjonesstore.com. And then go over to 1776rx.health, 1776rx.health. Just the number 1776 and rx.health. Go there on the online pharmacy and get the highest quality medical grade, prescription grade, pharmaceutical grade, ivermectin and benbenzidol. There's a lot of benbenzidol and ivermectin being sold online and stuff, and most of it's not real or it's adulterated. This is strong stuff. This is the real stuff for your total detox, your antiparasitical, and more. New ivermectin, benbenzidol, available in a combo, really strong, whole bunch of capsules, and it's just good to take, in my view, as a detox 3 times a year, but consult your physician before you do that. 1776rx.health.
Here we go.
You are insane, in my view, if you don't take this. I personally do 2 rounds of it in a detox. I've been doing it about 5 years now, and it just does amazing things. And ivermectin's good for your brain, everything else, benbenzidol, not a whole bunch of other things. So get yours now and support the broadcast at 1776rx.health. Ivermectin and benbenzidol together, an incredible 1-2 punch right now at 1776rx.health. All right, we'll be back with hour number 2 on the good old Southern Poverty Law Center, who's in deep, deep trouble. Stay with us.
This sword has tasted blood, and it will taste more. Attack!
Friends, has your water been acting a little suspicious lately? Does it taste like it took a wrong turn through a garden hose on the way to your kitchen?
Cab. Solicitor General. Cab driver. Duh. All right. Sustain. Format.
Broke, began to talk about it. So did obviously every other channel in the country. But now we've got Inside Baseball today, and a lot more is about to come out confirming moles from the SPLC insider operation. I have names. Already named one last hour. Norm Pattis, who was a Proud Boy lawyer and also my lawyer, and they attacked both groups, is going to be joining us coming up when stations join us at 6 after. But first, even Fox News is saying Alex Jones was right about the SPLC.
TLDR, guys, per usual, it looks like Alex Jones was right. The bombshell that Kash Patel and the acting Attorney General Todd Blanche dropped this week was that the SPLC, the Southern Poverty Law Center, the organization that for more than 50 years has committed to fighting for social justice and against racism and against extremism and violence, has actually been funding that racism, that extremism, that civil injustice behind the scenes. Funny, isn't it?
You're not an intellectual. You're a fake and a fraud.
We pay people to be racist so we can fight racism. It's a clever business model. I gotta give it to them. Like, that was the strategy of the SPLC. Because if there is not enough racism and inequality to keep the doors open, you instigate it yourself.
Stop right now.
F-37 was a member of the chat group that planned the 2017 Unite the Right event in Charlottesville, Virginia, and attended the event at the direction of the SPLC. This individual made racist postings under the supervision of the SPLC and helped coordinate transportation to the event for several attendees. Between 2015 and 2023, the SPLC secretly paid this individual more than $270,000.
I'm angry. I've had enough of these people.
And it's almost like instigating an event of that size and then peddling hoaxes and lies in the media based on that event was kind of the entire plan. Again, they put in $300K and they got fodder for a lifetime. And you know what? Alex Jones called it. He called it from the very beginning, all the way back in 2017, right after it happened, literally in August of 2017. He said that this was an inside job, as you can see right here. And this was his take.
Charlottesville was mainly a bunch of homosexual leftists dressing up like Nazis who'd all formerly worked for Obama or Hillary, part of their art club. And then they lured a bunch of reporters there and some real white supremacists so the police could stand down and collide them into the folks. I pointed out that some of the same leftist foundations are funding the white supremacists that are funding real white supremacists in Ukraine. I got sued for that. And I said it was all part of leftists coming out to come to this big event and hope there was some big crisis out of it to demonize the right in general and tie us to Nazis.
And you know, when he says that they were hoping that some crisis would come out of it, it reminds me of that normal political phrase, like, never let a crisis go to waste.
So that was a few months ago. Now, I've said a lot of this on air already. What was it, 4 years ago, right in the middle of the show trials in Texas and Connecticut, a employee quit. And then he admitted he had jacked into our security camera footage for over a year trying to find something bad. Nothing was there. Me walking around with my shirt off by myself at midnight, still working with a vodka bottle in my hand and a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. That's all they got. Wow, good job because we had cameras at the entrances in the hallways, not in the offices. But you got me walking around with my shirt off with a bottle of vodka in my hand and a cigarette hanging out of my mouth. Did I ever tell you that I didn't drink something too much? Did I ever tell you that I haven't smoked off and on? No, you even knew that from me. That's all you got, Jack. And what? Ladies have always liked me for whatever reason? Yeah, that's about it. Okay? Then I got to like take a stick and just kick the women back, kick back, kick back. And definitely want to keep the one from the SPLC away, but she turns out she's quite a horn dog too with those Nazis. She's probably got a big ass swastika as a tramp stamp on her. The SPLC. Heil Hitler! Heil Hitler! Anyways, we'll be right back to talk about the house of cards coming down. Oh, the FBI's got your name, Zach Drucker. Ladies and gentlemen, Bigley has launched an online pharmacy 1776rx.health. It's one product we're launching with, my decision, and that is ivermectin with benzidol, both powerful, really good anti-parasitics. It doesn't just get the big worms and all the crap that's out there. It's amoebas, it's microplasms. It is so important. These two
Amoebas,
together, I mean, the government is a
microplasms.
Nobel Prize winning for this. But benzidol is the big one. And folks, it isn't just parasites. Just search benzidol studies. Just put that into a search engine, and you'll see congressional hearings, you'll see top scientists, you'll see all the studies on what else it does that they don't want you to know about. It's dramatic. So, and you won't know if you had any type of parasitical deal or whatever until you've done this. And a lot of people went there yesterday. A lot of people got it. Very smart move. 1776rx.health.
From the front lines of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
Used in combination with adjective. Used in combination with adjectives to describe a person's head. For example, bald headed, battle head, feather.
Infiltrating InfoWars with a mole. Well, I can tell you it was two moles, and I told you years ago it was the Southern Poverty Law Center. Now, with one of the moles, he did a 3-part series interview with them admitting he infiltrated us and gave them this information. So his name is Zach Brugger. So there you have them doing this in plain view. And you have them reportedly feeding information they got inside, mainly made up stuff, because they kept looking for stuff that didn't exist. Also, they could demonize us, but the real mission was to find some type of criminal dirt on us. Now, Zach Drucker jacked into our surveillance cameras for over a year and then went and gave them all the footage and did a bunch of other stuff and was interviewed, and there's the articles.
Group of 3. Still haven't gotten any of the I got group of 3 related entities.
Because this is a small window into this.
Used in combination with adjectives.
To Cash Patel's credit, 1 month after, they said, check your mail. In the mail came a DVD with a bunch of files on it from the DOJ with all of these counterterrorism espionage investigations around the Boston field office going back to 2013, starting with Comey. That's the really nasty office for the really clandestine stuff, like the FBI hit teams with Whitey Bulger used to run out of there nationwide. And the mission was to destroy me. And then we got undercover CIA admitting and undercover FBI admitting it. They admitted on the stand. The FBI chief counsel in Connecticut went and created the lawsuits against me. So this is all known. The DOJ funded millions and millions of dollars to the groups to do this. That's all come out. You've seen us show you all that, the documents, all of it.
Paster.
The SPLC sending people in
Paster.
to infiltrate companies to then feed information to civil lawsuits. That is illegal as hell on so many fronts. And not to mention uncivil. The lawsuits out of this are just slam dunks, ladies and gentlemen. And don't worry, that train's a-coming. You can hear it around the bend. And when we're done, we hope you're in Folsom Prison.
Prickly flowering
But
plant.
the point is that they're in a lot of deep doo-doo. By the way, when they sued me, Hillary Clinton's, one of her operatives from the State Department, they dropped it later. I specifically, that reporter you saw that was posted on Fox News showing me, explaining it was NGOs. In the longer clips, I say Southern Poverty Law Center.
Formal class working person.
And so this is a big deal. So here's the Fox News clips. We'll go to Norm Patterson building while we give some backstory here. But here they are reporting how Obama targeted dozens of conservative groups, including Breitbart. And you see on the map and the document from the DOJ, Congress released this recently. You see InfoWars right up at the top, or and on the right-hand side of the pyramid.
Pages.
It's in the documents, but we also have the documents from the DOJ that we published, how we were targeted. Todd Blanche killed the investigation that Ed Martin was running in the Weaponization Committee operation.
Informal
I was
potato.
told by a big reporter that Todd Blanche wanted to meet with me and that actually they had just moved the investigation and that I should meet with him and trust him. I talked to people. They thought he wants to set you up. I went on air and said F off because let's say I'm not naive. Maybe I overly compensated. We'll see what happens because I really respect Kyle Seraphin, and he knows a bunch of sources that he really
Latin
respects.
for father seen phrases like
Overall is good. We will see.
oldest
But I
male in
will tell
London
you that I'm
household.
talking to the DOJ and the FBI, and you've heard there's more indictments coming. So we have them cut and dry. Not just funding white supremacist groups and getting them to do illegal things is the charges, but also targeting the groups that Obama and then Biden ordered them to target. So here's the clip from Fox News. We'll go to Norm Pattis.
Fox News, a bombshell new report reveals the Biden administration is using taxpayer money to wage a covert war on conservatives and Christian groups. The Media Research Center, a conservative watchdog group, obtaining documents showing DHS, Department of Homeland Security, is using a program meant to fight terrorists, which includes groups like the Heritage Foundation, MAGA, Fox News, even the Republican National Committee in the same.
Yeah, the Republicans, they're just terrorists down at the bottom. But as you go up towards the more evil, let's put it back on screen. Pause, please. I'm in with Breitbart, PragerU, Proud Boys, Turning Point USA for destruction. Let's finish the clip. Go to Norm Pattis.
As Nazis. Joining me right now is Media Research Center founder and president Brent Bozal. Brent, it's great to have you this morning. We want to know more about this. Tell us what you found and this so-called pyramid of far-right radicalization.
It's an astonishing finding, Maria. There's the program called the Targeted Violence and Terrorism Prevention Grant Program. This is
Can't even
supposed
think
to
of any.
domestic terrorists in America. It was started by Obama. There was concern by Republicans that it would be weaponized against Republicans and conservatives. Trump put the kibosh on it. It's come back now with Joe Biden. You have that pyramid. Where's that pyramid coming from? There are 80 recipients of money so far. They've received $40 million in grants. We've done FOIAs on 31 of them. The University of Dayton, none of them have...
Triad, not a valid word.
Again, recipients of public money won't tell the public what their money is for. The University of Dayton wouldn't give it to us. We found the documents. Anyway, look at that pyramid. This was a conference in December of 2021. In the first layer, you've got Heritage, you've got the Breitbart, you've got Fox News, you've got Christian Broadcasting, you've got the Republican National Committee. Already you've got more than half of America is on the list. The second level torques it up. More terrorist groups, Turning Point USA, Tea Party Patriots, PragerU, Breitbart, that American Conservative Unit. Then the third level
can't see any other combinations.
Nazi organizations, and the top one is militant Nazi organizations. So there you go, the pyramid, showing the progression
Anybody help me with
of
this?
domestic terrorism. But listen to this. I want you to hear this. What they were actually doing in this conference. One speaker was associating Ron DeSantis with the Holocaust. One speaker was associating Donald Trump with Pol Pot,
feeling deep satisfaction.
the genocide guy. One speaker did this. He advocated programs to deny people, to shut down their websites, to close their meetings, and to physically prevent them from assembling in public. Physically prevent them from assembling in public.
Physically, yeah.
I think I already have that.
By the way, that speaker also said,
father. Remember Turkish people?
we have to remember, he's a member
Tatar.
of Antifa.
Tatar.
A lot of things we are doing are illegal.
Tatar. Found all the words in 8 minutes.
14 noon Central.
It's not bad.
We'll put the full Fox report. It goes on and on. Shut our sites down. Take our banking away. Don't let us assemble in public.
The final word for most players, Tatar. That was me.
Now we know
that was me, 100%. That's funny.
She was involved in the lawsuits against me. She was one of their witnesses. She was one of their experts. She was supposed to testify, but they got scared and pulled her. The SPLC put multiple operatives in. That's been confirmed. They've admitted it. It's now under criminal investigation. I can tell you that exclusively. And by the DOJ, she's been indicted. More indictments are coming, Todd Blanche said last week.
Let's go to the archive.
This is a big deal. Now, Norm Pattis knows a lot more than he can say.
I don't know if I did one.
Holding while I did that backstory. But he was one of the main lawyers for the Proud Boys, also targeted by her, specifically and me. So you see that list. We were particularly targeted. That's coming out. And we've got the moles, whistleblowers. It's all coming out. And he was also my lawyer on the Sandy Hook show trials, where we were found liable by the judges. HBO produced it. Norm Patterson.
To August
Not the
1st.
buildup, but just what do you want to impart to people? This is a
Tools for
pretty big
drilling
deal.
and boring
They are running
holes.
scared right now.
AUGERS. Foretells a future outcome as in the team's strong start. Something well for the season.
For example, we had to fight very hard to get evidence before the jury that there were federal confidential human sources embedded in the Proud Boys. And we fought and started to win that battle. And our point was, if this was a planned event, the CHSs, the snitches would have known about it. One night, when it was pretty clear we were going to get a list of names in front of the jury, a senior Justice Department official came up to me in the hall and said, "What are you looking for?" And I said, "I want to find out how many CHSs you had on the ground with the Proud Boys on January 6th. Why? Because I don't think there was a plan. I don't think you think there was a plan. And if there was one, all these eyes and ears on the ground would have found it. To keep me from asking more questions and blowing the lid off of that, we reached a stipulation. They gave us a number which we thought was reasonable, and we were able to argue that in front of the jury. I've always regretted that and wondered what it was we left on the table. The job was to defend the boys, not to be a journalist and uncover larger truths. But it told me there was a lot going on with CHSs. When I saw the Byrick indictment last week, I about fell out of my chair. You know, Heidi Byrick was listed as an expert on extremism, and they had tendered her, the Sandy Hook plaintiffs, as a potential witness in your case as an expert. So we took her deposition, and she didn't do very well in my view. So I wasn't surprised that she didn't testify. However, I'm now reading and have heard from Nick the Hat out in Pennsylvania that he's got an FBI source that is prepared to come forward and say that there were sources in your organization, Alex, that were beholden to InfoWars during the trial. And that just drives me crazy. I mean, what happened to you
Famously
was unprecedented.
predatory fish.
In my view, you provided tens of thousands of documents. You sat for hours worth of depositions. People, everyone close to you sat for depositions. The plaintiffs were never persuaded that you were forthcoming with all the information you had, so they persuaded a judge to go to default. Who told them you weren't forthcoming? I spent weeks, not consecutive days, but weeks of time over a couple-year period at your organization looking for all the documents that I could find. I didn't really think that there was more to give than we gave. Somebody told the Sandy Hook plaintiffs that there were, and then they persuaded the judge that there were. The judge defaulted you, basically keeping from the jury the fact that you had complied with discovery, that you had in fact participated in the but instead told the jury you'd been found.
That's a clue on August 1st. For the August 1st public school.
Eye-popping verdict that was untethered to the facts of the case and was a result. I wonder whether it was a result of sort of SPLC funded agitprop, whether they were able to get the ear of the Sandy Hook lawyers and say, no, there's more.
Well, let's talk about Heidi Byrick. Okay. They said, give us your marketing. You made money off Sandy Hook. I cover news, and then I have products and services we promote. Cut and dry, totally separate issues. Okay? And then you have this Heidi Byrick lady indicted up at the very top of SPLC, reportedly having sex with the neo-Nazi leaders, living with them, giving millions to herself and them, her live-in squeeze. And they're saying in the indictments, funding them to do illegal stuff. Regardless, we always knew they ran all the white supremacist groups. And now it's all coming out about investigations into infiltrators. That's highly illegal for a private group to do that. Government has to have serious, all sorts of court approval to do that. This is serious espionage, racketeering, tortious interference, whatever you want to call it. It covers the waterfront, abuse
lacking taste
through the courts, all this being rigged. And then the FBI, when I've talked to them, they didn't even know in the DOJ that they had a 3-part series. We'll put it back on screen with Zach Drucker, who worked at InfoWars, and they admit was an informant for them. And so they didn't even know. The SPLC admits they infiltrated us. We know who the other informant was. We'll be exposing him soon. But just, again, they didn't have moles in here to even find anything.
Waterfall rapid.
They had the credibility,
but it's not a word.
Stuff up. and we're going to release a lot more soon that is damning. I've got crew that are witnesses to it. I mean, one of these guys, not Drucker, the other guy,
Highest point of
before he
wave.
quit, would walk into the coffee room and say, "I hate N-words." People go, "Whoa, whoa!" And when the crew told me right when he quit, they said, "Well, we don't want to stir up trouble, but he kept doing it." You know, he did it with Zimmerman on a road trip to do an interview. He kept saying, "I hate these N-words," and we love everybody. Well, why are you talking like that? And he couldn't get anybody to like talk like that, and it was just horrible people, absolutely disgusting.
I hate these N-words.
What else they were doing inside the organization? But this is the crowd.
I'd love to know.
Yeah,
I would love to know. I mean, and I fault Jim Jordan when he had his committee going during the Proud Boys trial. There was a lot of information on the streets in D.C. about justice, and he never asked for it. You know, I'm still under court order not to reveal all that I learned. A
lot of folks don't know what a CHS is.
Confidential human source, an undercover agent. We are under orders, the lawyers in that case, not to disclose the
It does a future outcome as in the team strong start blank wall for the season.
Easily subpoenaed somebody to come and testify before his committee, and when that person said, "I can't do it," you could be held in contempt of Congress. I was worried about it.
And that's the feds lying about having feds inside January 6th before and during.
Well, let's talk about January 6th for a little bit. There's one video, Alex, that I think settles the case, and that is the Proud Boys marched across the mall at some point. They had no banners. They were in formation.
Let's see what Grok says.
They hung out. Soon, the crowd of them was infiltrated by banner-waving groups, and these were people who had left the Trump speech up near the White House. When that crowd got involved, that's when the crowd got jazzed up, and that's when the breach of the barricades took place. There was no plan. Even the government acknowledged in its closing argument that the jury could have convicted if there were a so-called implicit conspiracy formed instantaneously at the moment the first barricade was breached, so long as they understood they were there to do violence. That's not a conspiracy. That's a protest gone bad. And so I'd like to know who was in that group of banner-waving people that jazzed people up.
We now know the FBI director lied to Congress when he said no FBI assets were in the crowd. There were a bunch of FBI agents as well. But let's expand on this. Let me quantify this, get your take on it. The DOJ, and there's articles and leaks that I can confirm this is going on at the DOJ, because I was told this months ago and I just rolled my eyes. Now I'm seeing proof, so I'm like, okay, well, show me more. I'm still not holding my breath. But they're talking about SPLC tried to infiltrate InfoWars to crank us up to be violent on Jan 6th, and that they infiltrated the Proud Boys to try to crank them up, but that it failed, and that was federal funds to do it, so that's more proof of the feds trying to do that. I separately know in Austin of a major Trump group in Steiner Ranch, which is the rich enclave, that they were trying to wind up groups there, and I'll just stop there, and that's an ongoing investigation. Not connected to us, but that's just another one in Austin. So this is the investigation was on that. The FBI and DOJ did not know that the SPLC bragged they had an infiltrator, confidential human source, Zach Drucker insider operation, who they did a 3-part series.
Waterproof
So here they
compound.
are admitting they did that, and then we know of another one because of sources, because this guy shot his mouth off. They don't know how many people we've got just everywhere. And so this is a big deal. So knowing that info, that's pretty amazing, isn't it, Norm?
It is, and who knows where this is going to lead. I mean, there's this concept called plausible deniability in
Protective
intelligence.
membranes covering fetuses. The word traces back to Old English cowl, basket, or net.
That's why they say this mission.
Also a historical headdress worn by women. It'd be
Let's find out. I'm very interested in this.
Well, Zach Drucker and the SPLC screwed up because they said they sent him in to infiltrate and published 3 huge articles about it.
There's more that was involved in your shop. I don't know who the other person you're talking about is. I'm very curious to see where this leads.
Well, we know. Oh man. So
you may. We should talk off air sometime. I don't want to be irresponsible here, but I mean, I've got just looking back on that whole experience, which was 3 or 4 very stressful years. It seemed to me that whatever move we made, they were prepared to say, "No, you didn't make that.
I was
move.
told
you made another move."
I was told by the FBI a year ago that you got, and you already had this concern. You got hacked and they even used an NSA facility to do it. And there was nothing bad about us, but they hacked your files.
I wouldn't be surprised. I'd like to know more.
Well, this reminds me of the Chicago 7 and all the infiltration that happened there.
It does me too. And the whole Proud Boys, InfoWars, the whole infrastructure of federal surveillance and manipulation of public opinion behind closed doors. This is what put Frank Church in the church committee.
Lacking
This is why, when they
faith.
look back at
For the leafy or even mustard family, such as watercress.
where's somebody now in a position of congressional leadership to take the long view and summon a committee with serious teeth, serious
TV lawyer.
and serious effort to take a look at what's going on in terms of infiltration of the right? We've got the Justice Department to do it now. The question is, do we have anybody in the House or Senate who's prepared to take a leadership role? And, you know, I was, as I said before, I thought Jim Jordan just played at the game.
TV lawyer Goodman, Ryder Bello, and the first king of Israel in the Bible, among others.
Well, let me ask you this. I didn't trust Todd Blanche.
Wow.
Gosh, this is 8 months ago or so. And then recently, they're like, no, we want to meet with you. We
Jewish houses of worship in the Yiddish school.
And then now separately, we have sources of the FBI separate from this saying, no, we are on this. We're going to indict a bunch of people. We got a bunch of stuff. Why else would they want to meet with me? Why else would they want the info? So should I meet with them? You've been my lawyer before. What do you think?
Yeah, but make sure you got a lawyer present with you, Alex. You know how it goes. You remember how it went before the House J6 committee. I mean, that committee was loaded for bear. They were trying to get enough information to indict you for a plan that didn't exist. And then you had, Rankin, the ranking member, criticizing you publicly for taking the fifth when he was trying to bury
Protect the membranes covering fetuses. The word traces back to Old English.
They have put you through the ringer, tried to extinguish
well, that's my question. Why would the
DOJ
be wanting to talk to me about the SPLC if they aren't going after him? Is there any other reason?
No.
So that means
I don't know.
So that means the SPLC better. Well, what I was told by the DOJ over a year ago is they covered up well what they did to Trump. They said,
strategic board game.
Screwed up. And then I was told by good guys I know are good, don't worry, the investigation is still going on. And I was just like, okay, whatever.
It was clear during the House investigation that you were a road to the Trump. To Trump, a vehicle to get to Trump. When they failed with you, they would have succeeded in taking you. When they failed to prove that, they would have succeeded in taking you or anybody else. Excuse me, I have a cold.
Everybody sneezes.
Anyone else
it's okay.
that you
enjoy your sneezes.
You offered up. Be very, very careful, Alex. Be very, very careful. Not all sharks have fins. Some bite you under the table when you're not looking.
Well, no, that's why when Todd Blanche wanted to meet with me last year, I literally went on there and talked about it and told him F off. Maybe I was too harsh. I just all I know is that I am like, you've been around me, you know me a lot. I mean, I'm just a completely regular guy. When I'm done today, I'll go hang out with my family. I'm going to go see my dad. My mom is, off on a road trip with my two oldest daughters, taking one of them to college. And I'm just a regular guy. And they kept, remember, like, we know you've got the Mercers funding you. We know, where's the documents? Remember all that, Norm? And I'm just like, please, Mercers, give me money.
If you had all the power that they thought you had, you'd pay them all the money they wanted, and we'd move on. I mean, that was a witch hunt, and you were the witch that got burned.
Remember, the New York Times later said, it turns out Jones always had meager finances.
Shark before.
Had a few $1 million, but not billions. We'll be right back. Norm, coming up on this. Stay with us. I'll tell you something right now that is one of the most, if not the most important things I've ever talked about on air, and I want you to really listen to me. And I want you to get a pen and paper out of your iPhone and type this into your notes. And I want you today or tonight or right now to just go to any search engine you want and type in two different names, two different words, okay? Two different drugs that have won Nobel Prizes, you name it, that people don't want you to know about. And one of those is ivermectin that everybody knows about. The other one that most people still don't know about is benzodol. If you do the research, then it's important to understand that you need to get it from a pharmacy. You need to get it from a doctor. And we have a sponsor, and that's, of course, Bigley. And they went and they used the same service as, the big web RXs and great people we've used that have been sponsors in the past. But this is Bigley doing it. And the key is it's real, it's pharmaceutical, and it is a very low price. People are selling knockoffs of it online without a prescription, and a lot of it's fake or a lot of it's watered down and adulterated. Because I did a regimen a couple years ago of mebendazole. We'll put that on screen. That's how you spell it right there. MEBENDAZOLE, and it didn't have any effect. I bought it off of Amazon. And then I did more research, and they said most of that stuff's fake. So I went and I got it from a doctor, and it was incredible. And my own medical doctor owns clinics all over the state of Texas had already been pushing it on me for years, and I just never done it. Ladies and gentlemen, you can get the two in a combo. The ivermectin and the together, and they work synergistically together. It is certified and known. Both of them.
Burns.
Just search the term ivermectin, mebendazole, and just put in study.
3 guesses per word.
And see what the system has been suppressing about this. And this is something, in my view, talk to your physician, and when you go to the website, it's
Hardest word was Schulz. Got it like in the middle.
I would recommend to talk to your doctor.
Got it like in the middle.
What I do for myself is twice a year, I take a regimen of ivermectin and mebendazole. And people ask why I look so young while I'm healthy. It's the ivermectin, it's the mebendazole that I take about twice a year as a regimen. Some people, my medical doctor says, take a little bit of ivermectin every week, but I tend to forget to do that. He's literally just says take like 2 pills a week as a supplemental. That's what my medical doctor tells me. You get your own medical doctor tell you what you want, but the big thing they say is a couple times a year, a big dose, a big regimen. You talk to your physicians. You talk to the folks in the online pharmacy. Let me put it on screen for you. 1776 RX, just 1776 RX.health. This is one of the most important things.
Ivermectin in the business, dog.
Press this information is getting out everywhere. So do your own research. This is revolutionary. This is so important.
You know what it's time for? Time for faucet. Get a clam. A mebendazole.
Colostrum.
Alex Jones fucking challenged the quartering on air. That's funny as fuck.
Things the bad guys don't want you to know about at thealexshowstore.com and, of course, at 1776rx.health. Take action now. Thank you so much for your support.
The answer to 1984 is 1776. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
All right, Kyle Serafin's going to ride shotgun with us a little bit in the next hour because we've got a lot of big FBI Cash Patel developments. We've got President Trump just put out a new video and a report on his promises kept. Serafin wants to get into that, comparing it to his previous promises. It's all coming up. But Kyle Serafin's a very respected FBI whistleblower who just exposed so much that's now come out and been absolutely accurate. I talked to him in text last night and this morning, some on the phone, just about my conversations with the DOJ last year and this year, some of the information I've gotten that indeed they are looking at what happened, not just with the SPLC funding white supremacist groups and the new indictment with her reportedly living in with this guy and sending the money to herself and him, but also targeting and infiltrating groups. Well, I know that because they had a guy inside our operation, a reporter named Zach Drucker, who admitted in articles he infiltrated us and hacked into our surveillance cameras trying to find something bad because we have cameras in the hallways and entrances and found nothing because there's nothing going on. Pretty boring around here. There's a bunch of work and research. But it was just a bunch of him talking trash about us. But the point is, there's the admission, and we know the other guy who the infiltrator was as well. I haven't released that information yet, but we will be. We'll talk about civil lawsuits, but I want to get his take on that. But just normal talk, obviously, as more of this unfolds, I want to get the Proud Boys on. I want to get Enrique Ontario. I want to get Joe Biggs on to get their take because they're targeted in this new information. I want to also talk to the Oath Keepers founder, Stuart Rhodes, who I know you also know well. But definitely, Todd Blanche says there's more investigations, that they're doing more, expect more indictments. This is a real shot across the bow, and I wonder why we haven't seen much action, real action from Trump's DOJ against the Democrat element of the deep state. But on this, we have. Do you have any idea why they decided to strike at the SPLC? Because it really is at the core of the deep state's clandestine operations against the American people.
Well, take a look at their deep pockets. In the superseding indictment, it listed them as being worth hundreds of millions of dollars.
Billions.
I had no idea that it began as a direct marketing tool by Morris Dees. And he's out of the picture now. But the SPLC is worth hundreds of millions of dollars. One of the things where they really have a problem is they used cutout corporations to launder this money that they were paying to people. They'd have people go into banks and say, my name is Jane Doe. I'm operating the Reebok shoe company. I'm a sole proprietor and I want to sell shoes in my town. That was just a cover story that they used to get the banks to open their accounts to them. They were funneling money to informants through that. And so I think that, the SPLC thought it could work with impunity because who isn't against love, right? And the SPLC portrays itself as a group all about social justice. But I think what we're learning is all have sinned and fallen short of the glory of God, and the rule of law is always merely optional to an extremist. And the SPLC takes an extreme view of extremism and takes an extreme view of inclusion and concludes that anybody who's not with its mission is somehow evil, and they feel the ends justify the means. So I think the Justice Department has focused on them now because of their enormous wealth and because they were sloppy with what they did, and they left a paper trail figuring nobody would look.
Well, you're absolutely right, Norm. And then coupled with this, we put this out over a year and a half ago, just doing our own lawyer research here in Austin. Millions and millions of dollars directly from the DOJ to the Sandy Hook foundations that then gave the exact amounts 1 week after, over and over again, to the law firm that is mobbed up with Blumenthal and the DOJ doing that. And then now we have this SPLC lady that's been indicted. She's at the very top of it, and she was one of their advisors, was going to be one of their special witnesses, one of their fact experts. Can you briefly talk about that?
Yeah, so, in a trial, there are two types of witnesses: fact witnesses, those who testify about what they perceived or experienced, and then expert witnesses. And an expert witness is a person who, because of their skill, education, training, or experience, can offer opinions about observations. Ms. Byrick was offered as an expert on extremism, and I wasn't sure that that was going to be a relevant topic in your trial, but we did take her deposition and learned that she has a PhD from Purdue, had run the SPLC intelligence unit, whatever that meant, for a while, and had also participated in the House investigation of the Proud Boys. So she had made a tidy career out of investigating groups that she disagreed with. And those groups included the Proud Boys, those groups included you. And, how deep those connections went, whether money's flowed that shouldn't have, I really don't know. I think we'll find out in months to come, and the Department of Justice is just the group to find it out.
Well, I can tell you, these reports from a year and a half ago, this has all been delivered to the DOJ. They have the documents, they have the video breakdowns, they have the PowerPoints, they have it all. And they got a bunch of stuff that's not been put out publicly yet. But I just learned that one group of the FBI did not even know about all this, so now they're getting it. So they're not going to be happy campers.
Well, that was a common problem with COINTELPRO. I mean, that was Hoover's baby, and he didn't let everybody know. There was a secret organization with the FBI accomplishing Hoover's objective, which was to disrupt the left. I think there was a secret organization within the FBI in yours and my recent lifetime that was designed to do the same thing to the right. And the SPLC was its I guess it's sugar daddy. It's money
and sugar daddy,
source.
exactly. It gets the money from government grants, and then it goes out to them so they do their dirty work. Norm, how do people find you online?
NormPattis.com. Always happy to hear from folks. Alex, it's good to see you again. Keep me posted on this. If I hear anything, I'll let you know. I'm certainly interested.
Oh, right? we're gonna hammer this. We've really got them here. This is like the Christmas sweater where you get one string, you pull the whole thing out. Thank you, Norm. NormPattis.com.
Yes, sir. Be well.
All right, we're going to spend the rest of this hour, and then we'll get into other issues with Carl Seraphin after that. Popular podcaster, FBI whistleblower, friend of the show. Kyle, you're just now ferreting into this and your sources, but I noticed the investigation they've got or the things that are going on aren't even aware of the fact that the SPLC published 3 articles admitting they put an infiltrator in our office and all the legal issues that come with that. But just in general, this SPLC lady, high-level lady getting indicted, reportedly living with the guy, sending millions basically to herself. Why do you think out of all the deep state places they could go, they went there? I think it's a great place to go. But just in general, I'm hoping that the Trump DOJ is growing some testicles or something, or what's happening?
I don't know about all that. That'd be nice to find out if that was true. The agents that are working on this case have been working on this case since Patel got in, since they were kind of given the opportunity to actually pull the reins off and go after left-wing extremism and left-wing money laundering. The crazy thing is this is nothing new. So Alex, you mentioned the articles. I've got a couple of them up on my screen right now from SPLC. They have a whole category. They call it Hate Watch. And so that was when they were going after Proud Boys and they were going after the guys that were in the Oath Keepers. They were going after you. There was any number of people that they had created as this sort of boogeyman for the political left. To be fair, I think the left does the exact same thing as the right in this country when it comes to the political establishment. I think the right wing calls out things like communism. That's not to say that communism is not a threat. It's just not the threat they make it out to be. So they have to play it up really big. They get donors to come in and
sure. My point is, I don't
secretly
secretly get members of my organization inside people's organizations and give it to people while I'm being sued.
Right. Yeah. No, you're a great boogeyman for them, and so that's why they wrote pieces about you. That's why they pulled this thing up. I just was reminded, and I sent this over to your crew. There was an article that I contributed to. There's a woman named Carrie Pickett who works for the Washington Times. And she was one of the first journalists that I ever started speaking to, and I did so on condition of anonymity before I ever went and spoke to Daniel Bongino on his podcast. So before I had gone public with my name, I was talking to journalists behind the scenes. And one of the first things that I said, and I said it to her in this particular article, and I went back and just reviewed it. It comes from September of 2022. I said that the demand for white supremacy in the United States, this is by the political establishment on the left, and then also the sort of hangers-on that go along with it, that demand for white supremacy vastly outstrips the actual supply for white supremacy. And because of that, they have to go to the well and they have to drum things up, create things up, and it turns out actually fund this thing. So they've been throwing money to the KKK, to neo-Nazis. They were going out there and trying to find out if can we get something to pretend like Alex Jones is worse than he really is? Can we find something damning or incriminating? Can we say that he's getting text messages that says that he lives in hell? And what can we do to try to get our donors behind this? And the crazy thing is that the FBI had a historical relationship with the SPLC, which goes back decades. Theoretically, by the time I got there in 2016, that relationship had been severed. They were no longer considered to be a reliable source of information, that their information was very partisan and it was clearly unbalanced and all that kind of thing. And yet it continued on. And my guess is it probably continued on. There's probably some governmental money going in, if not from the FBI, then from cutouts and so on. So they were clearly behind this. But a lot of this goes to the government wanted to find white supremacy. The Biden administration, the end of the Obama administration.
I haven't named the other informant yet. But before he quit, and the crew doesn't stir up trouble, so in the last few weeks the guy did it, and then they were getting ready to tell me, he'd walk into the coffee room and go, I hate N-words. And people go, we don't agree with that. Why are you saying that? And he was literally recording them, obviously, but they were just desperate to find something. And, right. And he was jacking into computers and downloading stuff, just trying to find something. Just something.
So so Alex, that's the real world version of what the FBI does online every single day, looking for so-called extremism, looking for any number of sort of either domestic or international terrorist capabilities. They did this to J6ers. The key is, can we find someone that's dumb enough to agree with whatever we say that's dumb? We're going to try to troll out there. And there's an expression in law enforcement. I learned
they do the
right
same thing with militias. They'll ask 100 guys, would you do violence? So they find them.
They find the one guy. So the expression in law enforcement is we only catch the dumb ones. That's kind of the general
But the point
rule.
is, I want you to go on this, but
it's
illegal to infiltrate me, though. Isn't it illegal to infiltrate me and do this to me and then work in a show trial against me and then publish a bunch of lies about me?
So it's crazy because this is the thing that the libertarians get really excited about. They get really amped up about the problem of the government can do that. But a private organization likely cannot, because they're taking money in under good faith. There's certain requirements for spending that money, especially if it's a 501c3, even if it's a 501c4. There's things they can do and there's things they can't do. The government could easily infiltrate. They could do that. That'd be no problem, which should make people a little bit uncomfortable. That's why we always want to see checks and balances on government. But private organizations operating as though they are doing governmental ops, running these sort of source networks, paying things out through clandestine manners, they find themselves on the wrong side of money laundering laws, on wire fraud and things like this. So that's what the FBI is actually doing. Here's the crazy thing. That's what the FBI is designed to actually do. It's not meant to go and have Kash Patel claim that they dropped the homicide rate, which they don't actually investigate. The goal of having a real FBI would be that they do long-term, complex investigations that nobody else has either the balls to do or the capabilities
Instead,
to do.
they do political stunts, like 97% of Muslim terror plots they hatch themselves. So
that's exactly right.
I mean, here's my deal. When I went and saw, and they're making
the reason this thing is going on right now, Alex, though, is because somebody got the people, the case agents that are working this, and I know, I don't want to taste too much, but I know people that are involved in this case. And the reason that they're able to do it is because the gloves were pulled off and they were like, you can do your job. And when given an opportunity to do their job, there are good agents in the FBI. And I would never say otherwise. And I don't think anybody will ever find me.
So finally, why is something finally happening on this? I mean,
oh, it's been working. That's the thing. But like, investigations take a long time, especially stuff like this. So first, you've got to get records. The response time on records is always going to be, it might be 60 or 90 or 180 days before you get them. Then whenever you get these records, let's say you pull bank accounts, right? We used to do national security letters. So I did it national security side. You'd request them. You'd send off your request, and then months later, they'd show up. And it'd be, 5,000 pages of paper documents, or it would all be on a flash drive, and they'd be, numbered illogically. So you'd have to sort that, put it in, and index it, and figure out what the hell it is you got, and what does it mean, and which ones are duplicates. And so, just the raw amount of actual work that has to be done.
Because you have to follow the due process, which is a good thing. I get it. The wheels turn slow.
In theory, you're actually doing a real job. An investigation is not instantaneous. It doesn't get wrapped up.
Well,
in
let me briefly tell you what this
show.
one guy who I'm preparing to tee up soon. We're gonna sue him. Everything else. So he's a camera guy. He works here like 3 years, and he goes and makes up all these stories about us and insane stuff later. But it was all just ridiculous. But once he quit, because I guess they were ready to activate him with his disinformation, people came to me and they said, we didn't know what was going on, but I've got like engineers, software guys, people, like Rob Dew, like most of my crew are like liberal hippies that woke up Democrats are bad and aren't like, I mean, these are the opposite. Like half the time they're down at the, elephant room watching reggae playing. I mean, so these are not Nazis. You've seen my crew. But the point is that this guy literally, once I saw the movie One Battle After Another, which is another leftist fever dream where the secret wall goes up and the white executives are all really Nazis. That's what this guy was doing the last few weeks or month. He's like, so I want to be let in on the Nazi stuff. I really hate the Jews and the black people too. I want to get them. And then people are like, dude, we're going to tell Alex your son. What is this? Well, I just hate N-words and stuff. But that's all they had. And they and jacking into our surveillance cameras and trying to break into computers, like they break into a computer and they find the secret Hitler codes or something. It's like they were really believing we're doing this when they're the ones financing and funding the real Nazis. It's insane. This is cuckoo town. This is cuckoo town.
Alex, they didn't have real Nazis, so they had to fund the Nazis so they could continue on. This is the same problem. This is what weaponized government is, but if you were to take it outside of government, it gets even weirder and much more convoluted, because when you can't find the thing that you've built your career on their being, we're the group that opposes Nazis, and you're like, okay, well, who are the Nazis? And they go, well, it turns out there actually aren't any Nazis, or there aren't enough of them to actually matter and be any consequence, so we've got to fund the actual people who believe they're Nazis so they can get their recruitment up so we can continue to raise money on fighting the Nazis. This is the self-licking ice cream cone taken out of a Washington, D.C. context and moved into a nonprofit. And so, and then there are nonprofits. So there's all kinds of regulations on what they can and what they can't do. They have all this imaginary stuff. When you send in, FBI informants, whether they be a confidential human source, when you send in an undercover, they're looking for people that are dumb enough to do that reaction that you just mentioned. I'm looking for the information on the Nazis. Oh, you're part of that group? Like, you're one of us? Like, great, we'll read you in now as though that's real. Without the understanding that when I was doing white supremacy cases, and we were doing them on a regular basis, they would send him out. They'd be like, this guy's a potential domestic terrorist. You'd go out and you'd observe him. It'd be a 22-year-old kid that's doing like racist posts on Reddit. And he's wearing boat shoes and khaki pants and drinking a Starbucks latte. Actual violent extremists.
That's right.
And
You
then
said
saw
as a
all the stuff that went
counterterrorism
behind it.
agent, you spent a lot of your time literally tracking buck-toothed kids.
One of the dumbest ones I remember doing, there was a guy that he apparently was going to shoot black cops in Georgia, and he was an active duty military member. We surveilled him for 4 months, maybe, and it wasn't just my team. My team rotated in and out. They had a full-time surveillance team that moved from where they lived, full-time residents for 3+ months on, TDY, to a hotel. It's $10,000 per shift to do full-time surveillance like this, and they had 2 to 3 shifts on this guy for 3-4 months. So they spent millions of dollars to follow him around. He was a nobody in the military. He was a E4 or below. I'm going to be kind of vague about it. He had no ability to actually project.
Yo, Area 52, what's up, my brother? What you doing, my man? Let's see, where you at? I'll find you. Grab the chat. There it is. Yo, Zerset. Zung investigation. COINTELPRO investigation. MK Ultra investigation. Are those all your secret identities? Doing good, doing good. People have been asking me when I'm going live again. If I'm going to stream, I thought I'd set up a stream and hang out, go through some emails, some memes, watch some InfoWars. Maybe play a couple games. Rainy day, you stream area. Rumble performance. Ooh, I like that. Rumble gaming. Zerset Zung investigation. I like that one. Future 2028. Let's see. Let me get in there. Area 52 lab. Yeah, I'll get in on it too. What the?
That they were funding the organizations they were ostensibly trying to wipe out. But guess what happens if you wipe out white supremacy, Alex? You don't need an SPLC anymore. And there's a lot of money to be made in these businesses. So,
and by the way,
again,
I just remembered this. Let me throw it out before I forget. About 6 months ago, whenever this movie, One Battle After Another, came out, I played the trailer and I said the SPLC and ADL, guys, find it. You got to archive. It's the first time I played the trailer. I hadn't seen the movie yet. The first time I played the long trailer is that scene where they're playing Christ is King music, and then they roll in and that happens. I said, folks, when you go into an ADL or Southern Poverty Law Center meeting, they're actually running the white supremacists. This is actually their meeting. Oh my God, that was powerful because now that's come out. We've got to find that original rant and put that out. Sorry, Kyle, go ahead.
You're right.
Relax and focus with Area 52 and RTV Gaming. AMSR. was wondering where it said on stream a few times. Oh yeah. I was setting it up, figuring shit out. Oh, what's this? Someone's betting. Koopaluk. Koopaluk's in the house. Koopaluk's in Just Ice, betting big. He's the T-Sold Projects. Game Talk, the dev channel. I'm about to follow all these.
We're basically saying, well, we've really built a brand on being worried about hate. So we're going to expand the definition of what the hate is, and then we're also going to have to go fund the haters, because otherwise they're not going to be able to continue on, because they'll naturally die out, because it's not particularly interesting in a modern American setting. People.
So let me ask you this in closing, and then I want to shift gears. Then I want to shift gears into the current FBI, the scandals, the insider trading, where you see this going. Your view on everything. You can say a little bit the next hour. Call Seraphin, callserafinshow.com. But again, I go back to the same question because I really respect your view on this. Why, out of all the deep state they could strike, are they going here? Which is a great place. I would actually start there. I mean, you're the one saying, well, I'm not sure about Todd Blanche, but a lot of good guys I know say he is good. I would love to believe that. Maybe I should have met with him. Maybe I should meet with him with you or something. He wanted to meet with me last year. I literally told him F off on air. But now I'm seeing this. I mean, why do you think they're going there?
Well, this is not new. I mean, first of all, they announced this a little while ago. The indictment is obviously new, but the investigation has been going basically since the Trump administration came in and the gloves came off for the agents that are running it. So this is what the FBI should be doing. This is what the guys that are running this organization or this particular investigation. They're 15 plus years of doing this. It takes a while to get this stuff working. You can have an authorized investigative purpose. You can have an opening, what they call an opening EC, where you open the case, but you don't go anywhere near it for 18 months, 24 months, 36 months. Historically, when the FBI did big cases, they've got to unravel the financial puzzle. They've got to go out there and do all the analysis on it. And the reason why you do something like SPLC is because there's money and there's criminal statutes that are violated. There's a lot of things that are done
what I was told by the
America.
DOJ was they've been reckless.
Well, yeah, it sounds like it was a complete Wild West was the way it was described to me as far as the way they're running their funding. Look, if you got to have a violation that you can actually prosecute, and this is prosecutable. That's why.
All right, let's do 5 more minutes on this and then shift into the other stuff. The Kyle Seraphin, incredible information. I tell you, I'm not saying this gives me hope, but it gives me a glimmer of hope. I mean, because these people are incredible. My fellow patriots, the first thing the globalists and the leftists do when they want to silence you is go after your merchant accounts. Go after your business payment systems. It's that simple. They try to cut off your ability to even receive money or make payments. If you are a conservative business owner, Google is watching you. Meta, Facebook is watching you. Amazon, all of the major big tech is watching you. If you think for 1 second that they are not orchestrating and coordinating their efforts behind the scenes to take you offline and out of business and render you harmless to the system and the machine, you are wrong. The question is not if, it's when. Stripe, Shopify, PayPal, Square, they're all part of the same big tech machine. Because once there's only one central system, they can bring in the universal credit score. The head of BlackRock, Larry Fink's been very clear. Once they have the system in place and they're close, they are going to shut down everybody that isn't part of their system, even people that aren't political. This is about total control. They just got to get to the patriots that are opposing them to get to you. And FirstUnitedPayments.com stands directly in the tyrant's way. My fellow Americans, this is your call to action. Call or email First United Payments now and ask them how you can protect your business against the globalist predatory attacks and shutdowns today. And talk to a real human here in the good old US of A by calling toll-free 877-899-1313. You've got to be able to have your own business. You've got to be able to operate without these globalist sharks, this mafia shutting you down. And First United Payments is the tip of the spear. Proven warriors, ladies and gentlemen, in this fight. Online merchants, this is the place for you. Now visit FirstUnitedPayments.com right now.
If you are Receiving this transmission, you are the resistance.
Merry Christmas. And of course, you know Roy Moore, 5th Fleet Field General from the Southwest.
Absolutely, sir. Good morning.
Take a seat.
So, what's cooking? How can I help?
Well, Tim, there's this troubling little rumor we've just heard. And we brought you in to see if you can help clear it up. I'm gonna hand you over to Bill. I'll give you the details. Over to you, Bill.
All right. Tim, I'm gonna get right to it. There's an unconfirmed report that Colonel Stephen J. Lockjaw...
I remember now, whenever this movie came out 6-8 months ago, I hadn't seen the movie yet, but I played the trailer, which was this scene, and I said, this is what you'd really have at an ADL, Southern Poverty Law Center meeting. And then it all came out. I just can't wait till we get that footage and combine it with this because it's so ridiculous. Kyle, I'm going to shut up now because I've been interrupting a lot. Finish up on this topic now, and then I want to shift gears into the latest of the FBI and the other investigations and Cash Patel and where you see all that going. Kyle Seraphin.
This is really a rich scene. The beautiful sort of woodwork in that room and the ducks, and it's like old white guys and they have money and they're wearing vests and the whole routine there. It's really rich because when they would put us on white supremacy cases, it was always really dumb kids. You know, they'd be broke as a joke. They'd be, you know, not have a pot to piss in, as my dad used to say, kind of thing. You know, they'd be living in somebody else's basement, which was not very nice. And then they would wander to 7-Eleven in their crappy clothes, like on foot because they didn't have a car. And it would always be like, yeah, they're going to do something super dangerous. And you'd be like, well, do they own any guns? And it's like, no. And you're like, do they have a car to go get to where they're going to do it? And they're like, no. And you're like, what do you think? They're going to steal a gun on the bus or something? And then they're like, how is this going to work out that this is the terrorists? How are these guys the bad guys? Are there really not any more, you know, violent? Meanwhile, we'd have, you know, an organized gang of bank robbers that would hit 16 banks in the Northern Virginia area. They'd hit one every single month and took millions of dollars, you know, and those guys were, you know, pointing guns at everybody. And they ended up we did that finally. And I remember seeing them. They only brought those guys in because they drove off a bridge in their SUV while they were fleeing from the police. But this is what this is the fantasy version of what they think that, you know, the evil white supremacists are all about. At the end of the day, it's broke people doing dumb things, saying dumb stuff. Hence,
that's good
a
coffee.
multi-million-dollar operation, you know, tens of millions of dollars funding the threat that they could use to continue to raise money. The absurdity of this should not be lost on anybody. Whenever the government kind of tells you there's a threat, or whenever you hear something from people that sound kind of unhinged, and you don't recognize that you've ever seen that in your real life. Like if you've never seen anything like this, because it doesn't exist, you'd go, yeah, that's not real. I mean, it's just, that's not a real threat to your life.
I did find this one.
Yeah, the real white guys are playing golf and figuring out how to manipulate stocks and do insider trading and gorge more money.
For cash.
They're screwing everybody.
I found this one new word game called Kaji.
They're just taking your stuff and they're selling houses to Indian people or something. Like, I mean, they're just not doing
For anyone that's interested. Where is it?
Long planned out multi-generational racism. And
Oh, here.
I think that probably died in my lifetime when I was very young. And I've never once seen any version thereof, to the point where most people now that they would think would be in this room, they'd be screwing everybody. They'd screw you, they'd screw me, they'd screw all my neighbors. It's just, it doesn't make any
But
bit of
finishing
sense.
my point is literally the only place they're in secret rooms meeting with the Nazi leadership is the SP indictment banging them.
Yeah, well, that's where the market is.
I highly recommend
How can this be capitalized? It can't be. There's no money.
making
But wait a minute, notice in the movie,
Kofi.
the supremacist leader is banging the black girl. Instead, it's the
Yeah, I'm on Windows 11 for sure.
It's exactly, oh my God.
And so
Of the real, like, so-called, like, you know, white supremacist Nazi stuff, all the guys that we were going after for, like, what they called racially
here's
motivated
the archive.
the white supremacy cases, they all end up with, like, black girlfriends. I'm certain of it. I'm sure they all end up having little mixed babies and growing up like real people. It's very funny to watch it because whatever it is that they're supposedly mad about is what they end up being attracted to.
All right,
Either
helpers.
the taboo of it, or maybe just God changes their hearts because
Hey.
they have a sense of humor. But this is cartoonishly silly, and yet
Assessing a fee as a penalty.
there's plenty of other people that were out there that were completely
Is
Both my grandfathers almost died fighting Hitler. I've read his books. I don't agree with Hitler. I don't like Hitler. Stop saying it. We'll be right back with Kyle Seraphin in 60 seconds. Stay with us.
Adding.
Another big news break right now. Stay with us.
Combining two pieces. Assisting and feed. This finding Latin for end used to mark the end of a book or finis. Primarily U.S. A love bite. Oh, hickey. Hickey. Female red deer fawn. No. Yeah. Female red deer. Hinds. Fawning items for quick cash. Hawk. Hawking. Sharpens or refines through practice. It owns.
Of the information war, it's Alex Jones.
What we know about Biden targeting Catholics and Christians and going after parents at school boards criticizing transgenderism. Kyle Seraphin and the FBI whistleblowers he worked with. And since then, he's become, because he's trusted, a clearinghouse for other leaks, other information, and has been really, really accurate. The one thing he got wrong, I saw
Fondy. Word.
by the bots. Oh, he said Kash Patel would be out, whatever it was 6 months ago. He's not. He didn't say
Hating.
he said, I heard he's about to be out. And it came out later, Trump was going to fire him, just like Tulsi Gabbard did it a month later. But regardless, Kash has, in these scandals, got a lot of trouble. I don't have some hard on for Kash Patel. Kyle will tell you he has that because he talked to him dozens of times and set him up and then told Senator Grassley he's bad while he told him he was a friend. But my biggest issue with Kash is saying, oh no, Epstein wasn't a molester. It's all made up. He killed himself, and putting out edited videos and just everything else we've seen. I want to believe in Kash Patel, but just the update on Kash Patel, and then we've got a lot of other news here in developments dealing with President Trump and his promises. But just in general, what is your summation of the current state of the DOJ and the latest scandals, where this is going?
So every single time I talk to on all sides of the aisle, Alex, I talk to people, CBS, CNN, whatever, ABC, I don't NBC, doesn't really matter. I'm willing to talk to anybody as long as they're, whenever we speak, unless we have rapport, I record them. Basically, that's the general rule. As long as they don't lie about what I said, I don't really care how they use it. And so that happens on a pretty frequent basis. And I get people trying to fact check stories like, hey, have you heard anything about this? Is there any information on this? The one thing that is pervasive, every single person that I talk to that brings up Patel, they all ask me the same question. How in the hell does this guy still have a job? Because every one of them has gotten the same information I have from very different sources. The kind of people that talk to Kyle Seraphin are very different than the people that talk to CBS or NBC or whatever else, MS Now. And they're all hearing the same thing. We all get the same info. Like, it comes out in places. People are like, oh, like, he's doing crazy stuff, or this is about to happen, blah, blah, blah. And then he still has a job. And all I can tell is that it seems like Donald Trump has a very soft, weak spot for unlimited ass kissery, which is what Kash Patel is, I guess, an expert at. That clip that you guys were playing some B-roll of, if you want to play the actual clip, it's a great example of why I don't know how this guy continues to be in this job, other than the reason that you're getting what we talked about in the last hour.
Sharpening or refining through practice.
Some guys that are at the lower level that are doing their jobs. All right. And there's always been a big disconnect. The brass
it happens full stock ideas.
Historically always has been. Sounds like they've been able to run some shadow ops for a long time. And they do things that have nothing to do with what the actual FBI does. The transactional work of the FBI is working against.
Hold on, before you go there, let's go back to when, whatever it was, 8 months ago, whenever it was, when you're like, I hear he may be fired. You were clear he may be.
All the time.
And then they said, oh, you said he'd be fired. He wasn't. What was going on then?
So there were 3 or 4 different reporters that had reached out to me and said, hey, I just heard that he was fired. I heard somebody else that was inside FBI headquarters. So, these kind of the fastest thing in the world that happens is what's called rumint. And I can't confirm it, but I actually think that there may be something to be said about us talking about it and other people even bringing it up, whether it be on X, other journalist types bringing it up, etc. that the White House decides to try
Phooey.
to, punk them by saying, "Yeah, we were thinking about doing it, but now we're going to hold on to him." Because as
Fines.
of a clown as he's really made himself to be, and
Got it.
this clip that you guys will listen to in a second will point out what he says.
1.4 guesses per word.
He's inarticulate. He says things that are foolish. They don't mean what he thinks they says. He cheers himself on for things that are not the FBI's business, etc. But he's not damaging Donald Trump, and so he's, I don't think there's no cost to the White House to hold on to him. It's not like Trump can run again, and it's not like I don't hear anybody on the political left screaming about his massive effectiveness. So he's kind of this neutral. He goes out there and touts things that are not the FBI's business. The only thing that I get regularly right now, and it comes from FBI agents, comes from people that cover the DOJ, etc., is this weird partnership with China that he's been out there cheering on. That's actually really scary. I sent it to a recently retired agent who spent 15 plus years working counterintelligence.
Chemical that weapons are disinfects.
Oh my God. He's like, are we actually doing that? We're sharing information with the Ministry of Public Safety.
Jeered loudly.
Put out in the graphic. So that's the only thing that really looks kind of damaging. Otherwise, he's just kind of this buffoon. He runs around and
The hind end of the body seen in blanket very close without part of a gun ball.
That work is not getting done. The big cases are not moving. And the answer that I keep getting is yes. They're not moving big cases. So you've got assist with local law enforcement. You got Patel basically taking credit for the work of your local cops who are on federal task forces and so on. But the work is getting done at the local level. But the really big operations, like what you're seeing with this SPLC case, that's what the FBI should be doing. A dozen of them in every field office. They're called career cases. People have to work one of those for, like a third of their career, and then they basically ride out and brief it for the rest of their career. It's not a good way of doing business, but that's kind of how the FBI has always worked. You work one big case. It might take 6 years. It might take 8 years. And when you land it, then you spend the next 2 years rolling around to headquarters and all the other field offices saying how great the case was and how you ran it and however people could run the same kind of case. And then they promote up. That's kind of the trajectory of people that do really good casework, and then they want to get out of it and do something else. We're not seeing that really good casework going on. It's just not there. And it seems like most people are just trying to keep their heads down because every instance from folks that are at the management level and then folks that are at the field office level, like the brick agents, is that they think Cash is temporary, that whatever the stuff he's doing is really dangerous for people's careers for now. But even the people that he's fired, and there are a dozen plus lawsuits right now of former agents who have sued Cash and then, obviously the FBI, DOJ to get back into their jobs. I think they're all going to end up being successful. And apparently he's even admitted this behind the scenes. He's like, yeah, it may be that these terminations are unlawful and that we violated federal employment law, but we're just going to get them out for now and they'll get their jobs back later and so be it. So all of the things that he's doing are sort of temporary. They're fixable. These are just like people being put on, involuntary vacation with back pay pending in a year or 2 or 3 or worst case scenario, these people get their jobs back in 2029 whenever the next administration comes in.
But obviously, let me ask you this question, because you said this when he first got
time.
Let me interrupt you because you're making great points. But when he first got approved, you said, I think because he perjured himself about not knowing Stu Peters with dozens of interviews and all this, you're waiting to use that as dirt against him, and Trump won't know. Clearly, I think that's something that's intelligent that we should look at. I don't know if that's what's happening, but you see these big congressional reports every few weeks. Oh my God, he's using the plane for private stuff. Oh my God, he's doing this and that. And then it goes away. So what do you think's going on behind the scenes with him? Because I don't want to just bash Patel, even though he betrayed you. I get it's personal to you, and I respect that.
No, I think he's ineffective, and that's the thing. He's not doing the thing that was said. Actually, okay, so there's a great.
So then why do they every few weeks bring up he's in deep trouble and put out the bad stuff he's doing? Is that to remind him of what they've done, or to cue him up for later? Because I'm predicting with good probability that when they do lose the midterms, if we do, Kash Patel will be teed up then.
I think so. I mean, I thought so earlier, though. I can't believe he's held on as long as he has. Like I said, I hear.
So let me go back to the question, because I don't know the answer. Why do they tee him up and show it and then not do something?
So the teeing up is being done by the left-wing media, generally speaking. Again, and I have plenty of contacts there, and I speak to people pretty friendly. I know there are people that don't want to talk to those organizations, CBS, ABC, NBC. I don't have any problem with it because I'm not a Republican. Fox News is not my jam, and so I'm willing to hear information if it's interesting.
No, I mean it's good to put pressure on government in general.
Right. Those people in those
1.5 guesses per word.
are wildly offended by who Kash Patel is. They had friends that lost jobs. They had sources that were, threatened. They think the institution
Okay.
that is the FBI is a net good. I disagree with them, but we can do that, in a polite way. So they're trying to affect change. There's no question about it. First of all, Trump
Right.
gives them a lot of ammo. So he'll do something dumb like use the jet inappropriately, or he'll show up and say some stupid thing.
To intimidate or
He
discourage
they go
some.
like, "Oh, look at this crazy thing he's done." He was at dinner while they were talking about Charlie Kirk's assassination. He
Sure.
is saying that they've got him, and he's tweeting it out. Meanwhile, they don't have the
Sure.
shooter in custody, and all the kind of things that went along. All those little moments are like pounce operations
Right.
by the political left and the left-leaning media. So that's one thing. But it seems like the Trump administration is happy to just go, well, we hate the media, so we like you more than we like them, and so get in line. And there seems to be some nominal punishments. I had somebody report the other day that he sat at the White House for the whole day. He just sat in a chair by himself. The FBI used to call that tactic the dunce chair. That's where you
Sure.
put somebody in a chair outside of the director's office at FBI headquarters,
Sure.
and they would just sit there all day, and nobody would talk to them. So they'd get
It's
all
not
from
sharp.
across the country. They'd have to sit there in the dunce chair, and then they would wait. And then at the end of it, they would know that their career was
Sure.
basically over, and it was time for them to, put their retirement papers in. And so they did. But Patel has nowhere else to
Sure.
go. What else is he going to do? I mean, he doesn't have a skill set that's
What are you
particularly
saying? They're
interesting.
giving him a
Shave.
hello?
I think they're just putting him in the timeout and letting it, and he serves his punishment, and then his job is that you'll notice every single public appearance he has, every single media appearance he has, about 30% of the things he says are fluffing up about how great Donald Trump is and how everything that he does is a reflection of how awesome Donald Trump is. If you guys play the clip I sent over, you'll
let's
hear
play
it.
the clip.
He does it instinctively. I call it knob slide. It's not a nice way of saying it, but that's what he does every single time. So he's a net positive for Trump's sort of
All right, here's
Sounds.
President Trump's mission to make America safe again. As he campaigned, he is delivering on that promise. And it is such an honor to be here in Nassau County, back in my home, when he's about to walk on stage and give you the latest update on the statistics. And they are not just statistics. I've spent 10 years working for President Trump. He reads about each and every case that we work on. He feels the pain of those that have lost loved ones. He does not let it lay aside. He takes it home with him. He demands that myself and our amazing Attorney General, Todd Blanche, go to work every single day to make sure that American lives are safeguarded, that no more of our kids are harmlessly and recklessly annihilated by opioids or by illegal immigrants or by gangsters or narco traffickers. President Trump, you have succeeded in restoring law and order to the precipice it should be on. The men and women in law and order across this country have partnered with the federal agencies, including the FBI and our prosecutor partners at the Department of Justice, to apprehend twice as many violent offenders in the last 16 months as they did in the last 2 years of the Biden administration alone.
During that, I was watching you on the other screen. You were laughing. Why were you laughing?
Because he said Donald Trump has restored law enforcement to the precipice that it belongs on.
Sure.
The things he says are just words. Like he's almost as bad as Kamala Harris when he just screams
Sure.
other things that are nonsense. He said we don't want people who are dying restlessly from fentanyl.
Sure.
It's like, these words don't mean. Didn't listen to the words, and you were just listening to the cadence. It sounds like
He doesn't know precipice means on the edge of a cliff.
Yeah, that's right. I was dying this morning when I listened to that. I go, wait a minute. We put law enforcement on a precipice? That seems like a bad spot to be. That's a real risky. He doesn't understand.
By the way, that's a good way to say it. Trump went from trying to save the country to putting us on a precipice. In fact, I love people that say, "Oh, you're wrong for backing Trump. You're an idiot." No, Trump did really good compared to the Democrats until about a year ago. Do you agree with that? I think I've heard you say it before. Yeah. But he's now with more hindsight. When did he go sideways? Why?
Okay, so we've talked about this a couple of times, both on and off air. It seems to me that sometime in July, the Epstein files were closed on July the 7th.
With the lower left side.
And there was some sort of sea change that took place. We don't know why. Maybe you do, but I don't. I don't know why. I don't have any access.
It seemed to be Epstein, but I don't know. I can't say I know.
Well, it was clearly related to
Commonwealth Narrow Island Nation of Micronesia recently changed its name.
And it's from the White House. The White House actually announced mission accomplished.
Copy.
Kind of like, you remember George Bush dropped that on the ship? And he said, we're like it was at the beginning of the Iraq War.
Yeah, he had a big banner on the aircraft carrier saying mission accomplished.
It was in 2003.
It's like President Trump has kept his promise.
No.
Okay, so these are the promises. Okay, this is what's called Agenda 47. If you're watching right now, if you're listening, you're missing it. But
so you have the original promises versus what he just put out.
Emitted or reflected light.
Well, what you're seeing there that you have that White House
Shown.
document that came from July of 25.
Showing confident, socially sophisticated.
So sometimes we can kind of narrow in on things and see what's going on.
Chat.
They claimed promises made,
Chat.
promises kept. In July of last year, they were 6 months into the administration, and they basically did the George Bush. We did all the things. Now look at some of the crazy things that they said they did because they're insane to me. Number 2,
what are the rest?
The largest deportation operation in American history.
Grant.
And then look at what the White House claims in July of last year. They're like, we're deporting some people.
Grant.
Apparently, we've lost the idea that it's the largest deportation operation and that people imagine that tens of millions of folks were going to get kicked out of this country because that's what we expected to happen. But apparently, we didn't care about that. They just said, we need to claim victory now.
Sauce.
Prematurely claiming victory despite only getting maybe, including self-deportations, like 2.5 million people out in 2 years. So what are they doing with that? There's another one, number 19, which is kind of amazing. And if you look down there, number 19 was the promise that they were going to secure the election.
Trump is every other word of English language.
Promises made, promises kept.
Grave.
Secured the election because
Grace.
Trump issued an executive order that has the force of nothing. No paper ballots.
Unmerited.
No voting. No
1.3.
Nationwide. No proof of citizenship. That's what the promise was, that they were going to get it done. That has to be done by legislation, which comes out of Congress.
Why is it showing me that?
The Senate has no appetite to do it. The House keeps doing this like nonsense where they attach it to stuff and send it up. But the Save America Act does not have any legs. And you got people like Mike Lee out there claiming it's done.
And we're going to play this clip in a moment, but here I am. I watch what they point on Truth Social. It's Trump yesterday or 2 days ago, 2028, we will win. And then it's him with George Washington. People go, God, he's incredible. Look how good he was.
Significant period in history.
Be a Trump basher, but this propaganda
There's
here's the poll numbers. He's at 30% now. We are screwed in the midterms, and they just pump this slop at people. And I'm like, what the hell do they think they're doing?
So, Alex, there's obviously a market for that slop. That's the thing that really bothers me. And I spent my
excrement
kind of going through the slop part of it. Bannon has gone out and said it. He said there's 5 different ways, and I expect Donald Trump to be, reinaugurated as president again in January of 29. It's like, are you guys effing crazy?
So let's go slow. Let's go slow. We got plenty of time. You want to go over the next break? What is up with the 2028 run? Because when I said he's talking about it, people said you're a traitor. He's not your scum. Now they're like, no, support 2028 or you're a Qatari agent. What the hell is going on with him saying, yeah, 2028, we're going to win, posting on Truth Social over the weekend? What is that?
I think it is the most common thing we see Republicans do is that they don't want to actually be in charge. They just like running. They just like campaigning, and they just like making promises. So that gives us another thing to look forward to. We just need more time. It's a troll. That's what Donald Trump was always really good at, and he's funny when he does it. Like, Trump is a very amusing troll because he gets people really like locked into it. Well, that's cute and funny when you're doing that and you're kicking ass and you're getting your agenda done.
Honored, celebrated with public praise.
Last year when you were in office for 6 months, and then you start a war and affordability is trashed, and you're telling people you're not going to apologize for gas prices, and it's not, the nuclear weapon system that doesn't exist that we had.
Honored, celebrated with public praise.
Which, by the way, was also July of 25. So all these things seem to have changed. You can't be a troll if you're not kicking ass. If you're out there taunting the enemy and you're losing, you're a fool.
Well, that's the
Honored, celebrated with public praise.
And by the way,
yeah, it's not cute.
Dude, J.D. Vance, like 10 months ago, saw the head of Rasmussen polling on and brought him there for a briefing and warned Trump he didn't listen. These are internal Republican polls, so it's not hype to all the white pillars. We're in deep trouble. I mean, I know the Democrats.
Carolyn Levitt left, to be fair.
Let's talk about that. Talk about it. No, exactly.
She's 28. Okay, she's 28 years old. She's pretty. She's young. She's capable. She's a good talker. She's been basically doing a lot of cover for the Trump administration. But at some point in time, she's probably seen whatever the internal polling is. Now, people were like, oh, you're just being a jerk. Like, she went home to take care of her baby. She said it's about family. If she was really interested in family, she's a multi-millionaire married to a 60-something-year-old man. She has no need to work at all. She could not work. When my wife got pregnant for the first time, over 9 years ago, she said, I don't like working. I want to raise my babies. She's never gone back into the workplace. That's a choice.
But Kyle, I don't need to speculate. I've been saying for months, I have White House sources. Almost all of them disagree with Trump. They say he's out of his mind. I'm not trying to undermine him. I have a responsibility to tell the truth. Folks, the people are leaving the city. All the insider trading.
Here's how we know she left. Listen why. She had a baby. She rushed to get back to work, Alex. She was back for a little while, and
Honored, celebrated with public praise.
She never needed to come back from maternity.
Great.
If you were so dead set on raising your baby because that was the reason, you would say, look, I've had this second child, it's changed my world, I'm overwhelmed and I want to be part of my kid's life and I don't want to go back to work and I can afford not to and I'm going to set the example for conservative women. I'm going to stay home. She didn't do that. She went back to work and then she walked away, and I think it's because this Iran war has been a millstone around the Trump administration's neck. Young people who would otherwise want hope are now looking at socialists because they're like, well, you guys are effing us over. So if you're going to F us over, we'll go to the other idiots who are saying. And that's my point to the white pillars. They think mindlessly supporting Trump fixes it. It makes it worse. What are they going to do when the Democrats win the midterms? What's going to happen to the white pillars then? Either they're going to be really mad at us because it's our fault, or they're going to keep doing, like this is the perpetual sort of like unfalsifiable premise that this is all part of the plan. And
there's no grief.
Plan trusters and copium types.
Good.
The whole
Good.
thing, listening to it, like watching the internet cesspool makes me sick. So every time I get to go out,
Good try, though.
regular people have no idea what's going on. They know that gas is expensive. They know that their groceries is crazy expensive. It's not getting any better. They know they can't afford to buy a house if they don't own one already. If they didn't buy one 4 or 5 years ago, they're sure as hell not going to do it. And Trump just did it again, where he said, "Won't worry about your gas. It's a little bitty price." And he said, "I don't care about your river." Why is he doing that? I don't know who's advising him. And his own advisors go, "Screw you! $20 burritos, big deal." I mean, like if I was possessed and I could possess Trump to hurt himself, he's doing it. Yep. Yeah. Somebody said this is, our first experience of when they study what happened during this time, Donald Trump will look like the first mad president of the United States. There have been worse presidents, no question in my mind. But the messaging that he's doing and the things that he's saying, when you say that we're in the golden age and it's just your mindset and your mentality, like it doesn't change the fact that when I was working for the federal government, I owned a beautiful home in New Mexico. I had a job. I make more than I made when I was there, and I can't afford to buy my old home today that I live in. You do everything about it. You cannot go back to the situation and that was in 2022. So 4 years ago, I'm unable to buy the same house that I used to live in because the payments are twice what I pay in rent, and I live in a nice house now. I never had the hundreds of millions they claimed I had, but I had a few $1 million in the bank. And I'm really glad in a way that a little bit of money I had was taken away because now I have a very small budget. I literally have like less than $50,000 in the bank right now, which is fine. It makes me a budget and back into that. It makes you a human being. But then I hear I can look at them like, no, the affordability is an issue. This is a big deal. And think about the people that are saying that it's not, like some of the slot peddling garbage that's out there, whether it be in the online space or whether they be in the commentators. A lot of these people made bank on some of these rug pulls on the crypto. So they're living in a completely isolated, insulated world, and their entire brand is tied into, we need to talk about how great Donald Trump is. The amount of people that have made their industry, like made an industry of Donald Trump, it doesn't have to be worship, but just Donald Trump sycophancy. It's kind of it's worship. It's worship. I hate using that word because it turns people from looking at themselves crazy.
Can't see it.
But yeah,
Can't see it.
I wondered the other day out loud, are we going to see like a mass
Modern
national
celebrated in public praise.
when it all just like what happens when President Newsom steps in 29? And I'm saying that in kind of like a way to shock people into this. I don't think elections are real because we're supposed to secure them. And I know we didn't do it with an executive order. So why would anyone assume that everything is going the right direction when none of the things that we voted for are actually getting done? So Kyle, do one more segment. Let's look into the future. What potentially we're facing President Newsom. I mean, that's a real possibility, folks. Oh yeah. Because the election fraud not being dealt with, or perhaps people who vote for him. We'll play these clips straight ahead. Call with us. We'll be right back on Alex Jones. Share the live feeds now.
Thanks for this.
There's a lot of noise right now.
Taking me off the air. It is beyond essential.
Kick
Spread the word about the broadcast.
That's usually when it matters most to have people in your corner who don't flinch. We've been a partner of this program for a long time.
I'm handing out ice water in the
Yo, Robert.
The top rated, the biggest company, because they're the best, and he's a patriot.
We're not going anywhere, and that commitment runs to you. With us, it's 8% when you buy and 0% when you sell. And here's
Jason.
you make your first purchase and become a client.
Case.
If you're holding metals you bought somewhere else, bring them to us. We'll help you liquidate them.
Cased.
No commission. That's not a promotion. That's just the way we do business.
Faced.
Give us a call.
The
Bend over backwards to help.
faces.
KEPM.com/
No. No. Of course. 2.25 guesses per word.
What God gave us, which, I mean, our health is one of the biggest things. We're all at this point middle-aged. We're trying to have families. And I think with the transhumanist agenda, there's a little bit of a psyop afoot. Where,
I've said that. But the other day when I had you guys coming on, I said, we're doing something about what we can take control of. And then the last few years, Joe Rogan, one time at dinner, goes,
One more.
about 3 years ago, you're fat. And you're your own enemy. He does that to guests. It was like Theo Vaughn, too. Get off that Prozac, you idiot. And people were mad at him about that. That's tough love Joe does. And he's there with Sean Johnson, the Navy SEAL guy that I'd known for years, but wasn't really friends.
Let's see here. Unit of liquid volume measurement. Liquid volume measurement. Liter. L-I-T-R-E. Desire to drink water. Thirst. Blowing an early railroad to pin an outside in Paris holds an oar in place. Think of it like a hotel for oars. E. Would be a third. No. Weird.
It performs. That's why it's called the master binder.
But yours is different.
It's completely different
because it doesn't just pull stuff; it brings in the key sea minerals.
Yes, absolutely. So any way that you would actually test Masterpiece out, which would be like its pH, its molecular composition, its molecular ratio, if it's isotonic and whatnot, it is identical to blood plasma. You're talking about marine plasma, sea plasma, minerals. It is the same molecular composition as your blood profile. And so why does that matter? Blood is life. When you are grabbing the problem with the toxins in there, which is disrupting how our bodies perform on every level, it's literally made our bodies mineral deficient. Toxins take the place of minerals. So when the Masterpiece is carrying in minerals, when it takes a toxin, it's giving the perfect minerals right there at that time. That's why everyone that looks at the testing, whether it's our hair tissue mineral analysis practitioners, our blood testers, which we've done 3 different independent third-party labs doing different blood testing, they've never seen results like this.
Yeah, so regular zeolite just pulls out bad stuff, it doesn't replace it. This is zeolite with a good thing, pulls out bad, it goes bloop, good.
Yeah. Our bodies are magical if you get the poisons out.
Yes.
Reality starts here.
Worst. Oh boy. Rolling an early concentration of substance in a solution would be a twist? No. Tear. T-E. Weird. Did I already do weird? Oh.
And you see all these stacks of news here. These are not props. I either read or scanned over every single one of these last night today. My family gets mad at me for hours. I mean, talking 5-6 hours locked in a room. I'm obsessed with it. But don't worry, even though I cover a lot of this, when I give you my projections and what I think is happening, I've been looking at all this. But
Forced.
after call leaves us in about 15 minutes, I'm going to plow into at least 5 or 6 of these stacks. These are insane level developments, including the second wave of this invasion of Spain. I mean, I've never seen anything like this. Okay, I mean, wait till we hit that. There is so much here. But Kyle, looking at all of this, I have a clip of Ben Shapiro I want to play and I want you to respond to, because as I know in your own show, I watch it when I work out and stuff. Usually the clips, but sometimes I actually watch the whole show. I'm a fan because I have a lot of knowledge. So I know you have a lot of knowledge. I can tell I learn stuff when I look during your show. No, that's true. Well, is that true? And then it comes true. So you definitely are a teacher for me. That's what I'm looking for. All the time, the people that have a track record of being accurate, continue to point out. That's why they have to find some place where we were halfway not exactly right, even though you didn't say what they said, so they can just celebrate. Oh, look, we found one thing. The difference is the corporate media is trying to lie to you on purpose. We're trying to get you to learn how to catch fish, not feed you fish.
That's Jason. So, a thin cured French wafer cookie from the French or tile. Music played by all performers together, playing for everyone.
Everything's fine. Tucker Carlson and all these other people, by extension, you and I, we're just being doomers. No, we have one-sided deals with mega corporations selling our jobs out, coming with regulations. We have the DEI saying don't give white men jobs officially to be police or whatever. Don't give scholarships to white men. And say that's wrong, get rid of that, like Tucker or you do. They say, no, it doesn't exist. Meanwhile, we have all these fundamentals. Then Trump says we're in the golden age. The inflation isn't a problem. I don't think about the average person's economic flight. I think about war. Even if he thinks that, you don't say that, which shows I think he has some beginnings of frontal lobe dementia, which means he still thinks he's still smart. He can still drive your kids to school. He can still run a company, but he has decisional mistakes. He jumps back and forth. If you've seen the beginning of dementia, it generally begins with a lot of bad decisions, flip-flopping, and things like that. So here's Ben Shapiro over the weekend at their Daily Wire event, and everything he's saying is true about be optimistic, get married, do all this, but he leaves out we have to politically be upset and get these things fixed that are discriminatory and that are making it untenable. This is their mindset. I want to get your take just in general about where the real economy is, because you can gaslight us all day and tell us it's great. It's not. Here it is.
During the time that, wow.
These folks on the horseshoe right are promoting Putin or Iran, have guests on who promote Hitler. According to these black pillars on both the left and the right, America has fundamentally betrayed its own population. Young people can't get ahead. They can't afford an apartment. They can't find somebody to marry. They can't have kids. People like the people in this audience are completely enervated. There is nothing you can do. Your life is doomed to failure because all of the systems are arrayed against you. And the good news for you is that you have no responsibility for anything in your life. Right? You bear no responsibility for any of your own decision making because it's too late for you. You've already been stabbed.
To handle or use effectively.
Of evildoers, all of whom can be identified
Would be a
who's successful, and you guys, because presumably you're young and therefore unsuccessful, you have become the victims. Just give all your power over to the black pillars. Just buy their Alp, buy some nicotine pouches, and everything will be all better. Nothing solves problems like Indian-made nicotine. Now, none of this is true. None of this is true. The vast majority of people who grew up in poverty in the United States do not end up in poverty. In fact, 98% of people in the United States who fulfill 3 basic conditions end up not being poor. Get married before you have kids, graduate.
Concentration of substance in a solution.
That's it. And listen, while I am a lot older than I was when I started doing this, I was 17 when I started doing this, I'm 42 now. I started off with no wife and no kids, and I have a wife and 5 kids. So it's been a while, but here is the thing. There is nothing that I did that you cannot do. You can do all of those things because you have the greatest privilege in the history of mankind. You live here. America is awesome. And if you fail, there is probably a 95% probability that you did something wrong and you should change your decision-making process. I know. Listen, when I say this sort of stuff, people don't like it sometimes when I say this sort of stuff because I'm not your friend, okay? I'm not going to come along. I'm not going to tell you how tough your life is and how bad I feel for you because I don't give a shit. Okay, here's the thing. I care enough about you not to lie to you. I care enough about you to tell you, as perhaps your parents would, that the best way for you to be successful in life is to make good, responsible decisions, and that all of those things are available. You can find a good man or woman, and you can get married.
All right, let's stop there. So I could go 10 hours on this, but nothing against Indians, I'm just being honest. 80% of the special work visas, skilled visas that are coming in,
CHI
they only hire Indians from there.
CHI
If you look at big tech, they brag.
RD are you found?
Not Indian. How do we deal with giant billion-and-a-half populations that are very tribal? That's just one issue. I'm not saying like the Indians. And then sit there and act like major universities won't give scholarships to whites.
Concentration of a substance in a solution. Wits.
This is so disingenuous. What do you say to that, Carl Seraphin?
Right.
I say that it costs between $100,000 and $200,000 to get Ben Shapiro to come. Whatever he has to say is completely out of touch. I don't know if Ben Shapiro pumps his own gas, but I know I do. And I'm a regular guy that did everything right. And we got
Oh, very fun that. Yeah.
but he was out there telling people you were a dope and dummy if you got the shots. So if you failed, let's call it the biggest national, international IQ test where a psyop for $1 trillion was focused in on you and you came up with the wrong answer, either because you're a disingenuous actor or because you're too dumb to see through it, then I don't really care what you had to say. Ben Shapiro lost me. I used to listen to Ben Shapiro's podcast. It was one of the few that I regularly did. I like that he speaks quickly. I like that he's smart. I like that he's articulate. I think that he's very, he's fleet when he speaks. But Ben Shapiro's never had a real job.
But that shows he knows what he's doing. But that shows he knows what he's doing.
He's a smart guy. Look, Ben Shapiro's very bright. Okay, he's made a lot of money talking about something. First, he was Mr. Opposition for Donald Trump when there was business there. Now he's Mr. Pro Donald Trump. Everything is great. And all of it turns to be really cynical when you start looking that he was on the side of big pharmaceutical companies. He's gone out and backed gambling companies, and he's making fun of people for selling a lot of medicinal benefits.
French curve handle use effectively.
Sign up to die. Now he's for World War III.
Of course he is. Yeah. So anyway, Ben Shapiro is not
Handle use effectively.
He is correct that you should make good decisions, but that's not the entirety of it. And he was correct when he said that America doesn't guarantee you success. It only guarantees you a shot of the journey. That's
croissant. Yes.
People get success by coming to America, and that's been the problem. If you can show up from India and get special deals, if you can show up here where you have no business to work in our country, and you're taking jobs that should otherwise go to Americans, and I don't know what else you call them, but like native-born Americans, heritage Americans, American Americans. I have this concept, Alex, that I keep floating out to people, and it resonates really well. It's called the bacon cheeseburger nationalist. Because I don't need you to be per se. I need you to participate in the dominant culture of America if you want me to be part of whatever you're about. And that's really simple. You need to eat a cheeseburger, and if you have a choice, do you want it to be a double cheeseburger? The answer is yes. Do you want cheese on your burger? The answer is yes. And given the opportunity for bacon or no bacon, the answer should be yes.
French wafer cookie from the French fertile.
Are lazy and dumb, which in the aggregate isn't true. So they're elitists that are for the colonization of this country.
Americans are crazy hardworking people. That's true. There are plenty of people who are lazy in every generation when they're younger. There are plenty of people that have been given, like they've gotten a bad rap. But people drag themselves out, except when the system has worked against them. If it looks like you could dig your way out of the problem, then people will. If it looks like there's no way to do that because the president says, "I'm not taking a salary."
2.5 guesses per word found.
Crypto scams. Then you start going, I don't know. You're going to lose people who would otherwise be like, "I want to."
That was pretty fun.
I want to have.
That's catchy.
Pay my own debts. I want to, lift myself up. I want to work hard and have eventually.
Be right back. Be right back. Be right back.
That the eventually long, hard work has to, generally speaking, result in success. And what people saw during COVID is that if you make a choice that is not part of whatever the dominant orthodoxy is, then you can be canceled. And so whether it was in, building a media brand, or whether it was that you were a doctor or a lawyer or you were a nurse. Or
that was the introduction of the social credit score. They admitted that.
They showed you that you had to do what they said, or we will remove your ability to make a living and we will let you die. We will let your kids die. And I experienced it. I know you did as well. But I had a job that I spent a decade getting, and they kicked me out, and I had to sell my house, and I haven't owned a house since. I haven't been able to work in my chosen field. All I wanted to do was find fraudsters who were doing evil stuff. Alex, when I was leaving the FBI under the previous administration, I applied for a 1811, a special agent criminal investigator job with the VA, the Office of Inspector General. There was no clearance requirement. There was no, it was remote work a lot of times. And the guys basically showed me my desk after we did a 4-hour interview. It was supposed to be 30 minutes. And they're like, basically, you're hired. You're the only GS-13 that wants this job. You're it. Plus, I had 10 points of veteran
preference. And you just wanted to help
everything.
veterans.
All I wanted to do was find fraud against the United States government. And they have unlimited amounts of fraud. Like, it's like $500 million a year that go to,
fish in a barrel.
$500 billion. There's unlimited amounts of fraud. Yeah. And it was a great gig. And they didn't let me get it because I said no to COVID. I said I wasn't going to get the shots. And I wasn't just like the guy who said, okay, well, then I'll just put a mask on and I'll go back to work. They said, put a mask on. I said, no. They said, test every day. I said, no. So all the things, I was a no on all of that stuff. And there were a lot of us. I'm not alone in that. I'm not
because they don't want real guys. They don't want real guys in there.
They don't want people. Was the opposite of that. So him out there campaigning on behalf of like, let's do hope. Yeah, that was true. I think the things that killed America probably happened 115 years ago. I don't think they happened recently. I don't think any generation that's alive today is to blame. But to recognize that the situation on the ground today in 2026 is not the same as when my parents were buying their first house or when your parents or their parents were getting their first house. I got a video of, I don't know if you want to show it, but of Chuck Grassley. You want to see how ineffective the Republicans are. You have people who have been in Congress for longer than I've been on the planet. You've got people that are in elected office that are now talking about, look, that's Chuck Grassley with
we'll play this in a moment. Before we play that, let me ask this question then, because you're a smart guy. And I just say that for listeners. I mean, I really respect what you have to say here. Just because the Republicans are out of control and decadent and have gone sideways, and I agree, we should talk about what they're doing bad. They're in power, and they're doing the wrong things, so Democrats are going to win. What do you make of the Democrat Socialists of America and the big banker funding they have? House Majority Leader Steve Scalise says the Democrats have been taken over by the Bolshevik Revolution. I agree, that's their new scare tactic, but it's a real thing they're pointing out. They're not really countering it.
Yeah.
By all this arrogant statements against the working class, like suck it up, who cares, a burrito is $20. How do you respond to the Democrats taking over, the Democrats being taken over by the Democratic Socialists? And again, Trump has the exact opposite rhetoric. Even if we're getting screwed, if he gives them a light at the end of the tunnel, says I care about you, he doesn't even do that now. Oh, you've been on an aircraft carrier 9 months? It's not long enough. Every statement is an arrogance, and it's coming from him, the worst possible statements. I already talked about that, but this is insane.
A real leader takes ownership of failure. Those are the people that you want to work for. When something goes wrong, a real leader steps up and says, it's my fault. The buck stops here. My choices led to this. I let you down, and I want to fix it. And people always get a second chance. That's the most American thing in the world. You get a second chance if you own mistakes.
No. He knows that. That's why he's on an apology tour.
He's on a tour humanizing himself, saying, I've been a dirtbag. I've done a bunch of bad things. I'm going to own all my misdeeds, and I'm going to do it with a sense of humor. And it's humiliating, but it's also fun for him because he's going to rehab his image to the point where people are talking about him as being a potential candidate of something. He's a freaking crackhead that was sleeping with his brother's, widow. That's craziness. So here's the problem. I've seen a ton of people say, I would take my vote back for Donald Trump. I regret my votes for Donald Trump. I am not one of those people. I think that's stupid because I saw what the alternative was. It was Kamala Harris. I think she's dumb. I think she's a dumb person who had no business being in that job.
And Trump was different then. They always say that I was wrong. No, he did great until 16 months ago.
He said all the things that needed to be said, and the original momentum was going in that direction. So the right answer has always been the same. It's probably too late for the midterms, for whatever that's worth, because I don't even think we have elections. I think the narrative battle for the midterms is lost. But imagine someone.
That was my next question, because you're a smart guy. I just see bad to worse scenarios, and I'm trying to be an optimist, but I can feel the danger. Because your subconscious is more powerful than your conscious. My conscious sees the danger. My gut is like I got a cattle prod stuck up my ass. I mean, I'm worried.
It's atrocious because it's here's the thing. It is a completely unforced error. When you have the House, you have the Senate, and you have the White House, it's on you. You don't get to blame communists or say, oh, you better vote for us or worse things will happen than what we're doing. The answer should always be, we haven't gotten after it in the way that we should. Here's what our agenda is. Every single leader that's ever done anything bad says, I acknowledge failure. We've acknowledged the reasons why there was failure or why we haven't been as successful as we should have been. And here's what we're going to do to fix it. What we have Donald Trump saying is, I will never apologize for your gas being so expensive, and I'm going to run again in 2028. It's delusional.
Cuckoo town.
And none of that says well, Kamala Harris would have been a better solution.
By the way, the British were about to give up till Churchill said, all I offer you is pain and suffering, but you're real men and women, and we're going to win in the end. And they loved it because they loved the straight shooting. Why Trump can't do that is just disgusting.
Maybe it's because he's never had hardship in the same way, Alex. Maybe he's never done, when you're in the military, you see this all the time. So when things are rocky or difficult and you just know it's going to be bad, there's this idea embrace the suck. And you'll see people, they put it on t-shirts in the gym now. It says nobody cares, work harder. That's a mentality that you can do. If I said, Alex, I know that your muscles are strained, that you're probably verging on injury, but actually you're just having a really great time and everything's great. You'd be like, go F yourself, Seraphin, you're lying to me.
If you said you're strong, you got great ancestors, you can do it, let's do it together, I'm ready to go.
Right. and it's going to be hard for the next 90 minutes, but it's a finite period of time that this is going to suck. That's what makes people get through.
And you're going to be greater on the other side. Not you're gold, everything's fine, shut up.
Right. The Trump administration failure has been that they have tried to conflate positive PR messaging with the actual victory of itself. And like, they didn't actually do the things they claimed they were going to do. They just said that they were in, and so everything was better. And so, you know, this has happened over and over to the point where I sent you guys a clip of Dan Bongino saying this on his podcast, which I don't follow anymore, but someone sent me the clip. And the clip is like, he's out there crying that the Trump administration is going to be run to ground, that the next administration is going to come in and attack them because Hillary Clinton says we're going to have to root out all of the Trump
appointees.
Let's
talk about this. First, they say we have no power as influencers, which we're not. We're Americans speaking out. Yep. And then they say when they lose, it's our fault because they know the truth, that we have the bigger audiences. So first, here's Bongino. Then you mentioned it. We'll play the Grassley clip. In fact, play him back to back and comment on the other side. Here's Bongino, and so disgraced. We're so sad for him. And then here's Grassley.
They are going to try to put every single Trump administration official they can in prison. Here's Hillary Clinton sending a message with that hapless, worthless host, Kara Swisher, another idiot. Here she is on the show talking about how, hey, man, we're just going to hunt everyone down. I knew that. I went in and did my thing. You do it anyway.
So why didn't you indict them?
But we will all be hunted down. I promise you, every single one of us, because
there's so much to fix. I mean, first, get rid of all of the holdovers. Do not let anybody hang around in some small office somewhere who can literally
this is the new talking point on
Fox. That, Trump and his minions are going to try to, put people. They're going to try to move people from political appointments to so-called civil service appointments, although they're trying to destroy the civil service. So people are going to have to be really searching to make sure that they are not going to be literally subverted from within the government.
I can't with these people. They love to tell you like government's this force for good in your life. It's so benevolent. It's like a bunch of you ever see the play Annie growing up? It's like Daddy Warbucks. Oh, look, in the end, he's just trying to take care of Annie or whatever, despite being a little bit of a hard ass. Like, that's their thing. They're not just talking about principals, deputies, assistant directors in the Trump administration. Notice what she says. We need to look in those small offices there. Just to be clear, you're going to have some guy in the Bureau of...
This goes on for like 4 minutes. We'll add it in post when we put it on X and Rumble. But this is what pisses me off. I've been sued. My family bankrupted. My parents attacked. I'm not a victim. I've had infiltrators, SPLC, all of it. All I wanted was you to do your job and protect us. And then you sit there and bitch now that they're coming after us when you're the ones that sat there and let them do it. Go ahead, Dan. Go ahead and talk about Dan Bongino here. It's Kyle.
Sure. Well, here's the thing. He used to say it very famously. Personnel is policy. So why did they not get rid of all the people that would have been problematic? They should have been shrinking government agencies. This is the whole point of weaponization. Weaponization happens when you don't know what the thing is doing or the thing is serving its own masters, which means that there are people, that's what the deep state is.
And the number one to deal with an out-of-control bureaucracy is slash it and burn it.
That's the only way. And this is not a new thing. Machiavelli talked about this. You have the two options. You can either exile or execute them. If you want to take over your government and you have a hostile government that exists, you have to exile or execute. Well, exile means they have to leave, or execution means they get terminated from their job. Did they go do that in a meaningful way? If he's out here crying,
and you're right. He goes on in the clip, because I actually saw it, and to blame us, this is happening. No, you're the one that did it. You're the one that allowed him to do this. You're the one that allowed them to come back.
He literally went in there for 292 days and quit under a year. He quit in 10 months when that's what his job should have been as the deputy director. The problem is hubris. It's the same thing that Donald Trump has never been wrong. Dan Bongino didn't even know that he didn't have the ability to do that job.
So let me ask you this. What happens when they lose the midterms and it dawns on them that all the arrogance blows away?
Yeah, I've been trying to figure this out. There's a fork in the road, right? So one of two things happens. Either it's all part of the plan, so just keep trusting harder and vote Trump 2028 or whatever nonsense that is. Or they're going to look for people to blame, because God forbid it be the people who have been lying to them. And here's the craziest thing. And there's, I guess, a third possibility is that people will go like, hey, that Jones and Seraphin guy have been saying they've been kind of accurate on this stuff. It's not because I didn't want them to do the 20 promises that were laid out there. I bring them up almost every single morning, only because it's the rubric that the Trump administration gave for us to grade them. And if they said after 6 months that they already were successful on things that were basically a 4-year job, they didn't earn the second half. They didn't earn the midterm on. Politics is like an 18-month game at the longest part of the cycle.
And their answer is just total glazing.
It.
I agree. Now, why is this Grassley clip? Because I saw the video. I never watched it. What is this Grassley clip with the vacuum cleaner?
Chuck Grassley is 95,000 years old. He was 33 years old when he got this 1966 vacuum, and he's out there posting this garbage. And this is like what they call, this is, Alex, whenever you want to call out or criticize somebody, Chuck Grassley is one of the good ones. They always tell you he's one of the good ones. Look at what the good ones are doing with their time on social media. This is what they're trying to message to us.
Well, plus, do you think, nothing against Grassley compared to a lot, he is not as bad. How's he going to?
He is one of the good ones.
How's he going to contend with big tech and the New World Order and the Iranians? Here it is.
He's 95,000.
Here's Chuck Grassley.
With the demise of Beth, I thought I'd be able to use my 1966 Electrolux, but it doesn't work either. So I'm going to have to wait until somebody gives me a used Hoover. I thought this backup that my mother bought me in the 1960s would work until I got a new Hoover, but it just isn't going to work out that way.
You know what's crazy? My mother had her mother's vacuum cleaner till I was about 10. I think it was the same one. I recognize that. That is crazy. But the point is, he's on a totally different planet.
Nobody.
By the way, where's Mitch McConnell? Where's Mitch McConnell?
Oh, he's dead. Yeah, he's definitely dead. I covered that this morning. Apparently, the Andy Bashir was asking, like, hey, can we hear from our senator? Because we don't know where you are, and we haven't heard anything. And he said he's gotten nothing back. So Mitch McConnell's probably dead.
And since when can people disappear, or House members disappear for months?
He's a senator. He's 84 years old. He there were credible reports that there was active CPR at his house. Per the dispatch, and the survival for a man in his 80s, over 80 years old, over a 30-day period after active CPR, it's less than 5%. By the way, when they put that photo out, I heard it was AI. I looked at myself. The computer says that's AI. Like, look at this photo. It doesn't look real. It doesn't look real. I think he's dead. I'm like, even if he is alive, is he like on life support? Is he doing the thing from the movie Dave where they've got him in a basement somewhere and there's like a machine keeping him pumping through? I don't think he's alive. I don't know what the value of this is, other than to show you that we have an 84-year-old guy that is probably dead. We have a 94-year-old guy who's talking about Hoovers, and nobody's referred to a vacuum cleaner as a Hoover since before my lifetime. People that were old when I was a child called them Hoovers.
And we have an 80-year-old president who says he's going to blow up one of our allies if they don't back the war. Kyle Seraphin.
And then he's going to run again.
Yeah, it's insane. Kyle, where do people find your show?
Yeah, find me at KyleSerafinshow.com. That's our Spotify link. You can find the program from today.
All right, powerful interview. Thank you so much.
Thanks, Tom.
I got a ton of news. Hour number 4 straight ahead. Share those live feeds right now at Real Talk Shows on X and Rumble. Stay with us.
Do not help fund the resistance. You sit comfortably. You consume. You watch. You wait for others to fight the battle for you. The dark side has you firmly in its grasp. Every day, you remain on the sidelines. My power grows stronger. Continue believing someone else will save the galaxy. It pleases me greatly.
Real time, uncensored, unstoppable. AlexJonesLive.com. Take a stand. Share the link.
Do you want to fight? You better believe you got one! Nothing can stop me. The force lies within.
There is no escape from what you are becoming. Lay down your weapon or be destroyed.
Planet Earth, filter your water. Stop turning my frog friends gay. This I command.
TheAlexJonesStore.com. Fight the globalist takeover now.
A Scarlet Martini before breakfast? You minx. Are you trying to outdo me in corruption, or shall we make it a team effort?
Of course not, darling. This is methylene red from the AlexJonesStore.com.
The ultramethylene red, madame. Bold, refined, and unapologetically potent. It optimizes cellular energy at the deepest level, delivers razor-sharp cognition, and ignites a warm, invigorating rush that spreads through every vein.
Days, weeks, and even years ahead of the news cycle. AlexJonesLive.com is tomorrow's news today.
These new data centers will oversee everyone in the galaxy. I will be in full control.
Power levels are stable. Proceed with the install. Copy that. Installing the module now. Connection confirmed. All green.
Cable secured. Power to the cluster. Initiating boot sequence. Component locked. Running diagnostics. Archive systems online. Report to command.
Construction team, report status. Power grid stable, TK-421. Cabling complete, no faults. Proceed to phase 2 for the Empire.
Things are going according to plan. The Emperor will be happy. The Empire demands perfection.
Status report. Any anomalies? Diagnostics are clear, sir.
Proceed with the calibration. Watch for fluctuations.
I find your desire for privacy insignificant. The Empire's new data network will observe every corner of the galaxy, every signal, every act of disloyalty.
A disturbance in the Force there is. Feel it you can.
Those who obey have nothing to fear. Those who resist will be terminated.
Nice shot and nice bags. Wow, where are my manners? My name is Alex Jones, and I, like you, can't stand goblins. The forest is crawling with them, and I want them all dead. Chill out, babe. Get a hold of yourself, Pumpkin Jugs. It's Soros we're after, the Dark Wizard. He's behind the Goblin invasion. And the blood of the fallen rise down that blood. We need to kill him in a huge way.
Okay, hell yeah.
All right, lady. Now that we're aligned, I'd like to introduce you to my velociraptor named Gary. He hates goblins even more than I do.
Hi, Gary. Good job. Hey, so where are we going?
We need extra muscle, and we'll be linking up with some key allies. You don't just take on a dark wizard without a posse. You aren't very educated, are you?
No, I can't even read.
I want to celebrate your honesty.
Salutations, friend. Wait, who's the busty piece of trash you brought with you?
I don't know her name, but she hates goblins and can't read. We'll need her to overthrow Soros.
Fly, Blackie, fly. Gather intel.
Hey, I was walking through the woods and saw Blackie soaring towards Spire Soros. What's happening?
A lot of negative things overall. We need your help, Dr. Tuck, and also need your grisly companion, Roger.
Yay, Roger.
For this quest, we'll need weapons, courage, faith, and friendship.
Goblin. Ladies and gentlemen, Bigley has launched an online pharmacy, 1776rx.health. It's one product we're launching with, my decision, and that is ivermectin with benzidol, both powerful, really good anti-parasitics. It doesn't just get the big worms and all the crap that's out there. It's amoebas, it's microplasms. It is so important. These two together, I mean, ivermectin is a Nobel Prize winning for this, but benzidol is the big one. And folks, it isn't just parasites. Just search benzidol studies. Just put that into a search engine, and you'll see congressional hearings, you'll see top scientists, you'll see all the studies on what else it does that they don't want you to know about. It's dramatic. So, and you won't know if you had any type of parasitical deal or whatever until you've done this. And a lot of people went there yesterday. A lot of people got it. Very smart move. 1776rx.health.
Another world, another time, in the age of wonder. Another world,
another time,
another time. His land was green and good
until the crystal cracked.
If you are receiving this transmission, you are the Resistance. Live from Austin, Texas, broadcasting worldwide, it's Alex Jones.
Well, the bad guys wouldn't be working around the clock like we documented in the second hour, with the CIA, the FBI, the Southern Poverty Lawsuit to the ADL trying to shut us down. But thanks to you, we're still here. None of this would be happening if the situation was hopeless. So never forget that. All right, I didn't plug the last 2 hours. I'm our biggest problem. As long as I plug the AlexJonesStore.com, the great products that are there every hour, we got the funds to operate. If I don't, we got a problem. So let me do that and then hit the rest of the news the bad guys don't want you to be aware of. You need to go right now to 1776rx.health and get pharmaceutical-grade ivermectin and benzidol that aren't just anti-parasitic. They do so much more. Do your own research. This is such a great detox. In my view, you should do this about twice a year. You do this through our medical system and through the nurses and stuff. Get their advice, get their medical advice from them, or talk to your physician. But everybody should go to 1776rx.health, just one word, 1776rx.health, and get your ivermectin with benzidol right now if you have half a brain. I mean, it is a no-brainer, and then it funds our operation, a total 360 win. Also, they're selling out of it, which is a paradox issue, because they got this great fanny pack for $39 with 6 free patches, Gadsden flag, Betsy Ross flag, all of it in it. Those are like $5 a piece, so just 6 patches at that. That's like, do the math, $30 value. $39 for the fanny pack, highest quality, concealed carry. That's about to sell out. And the paradox is we sold out of the gravity-fed filters, more about to come in. We sold out of the shower filters, more about to come in. You guys want it. We know the products. We just can't get enough of them to fund the operation. But that's all about to come back in. But get this fanny pack, concealed carry pack before it sells out as well at thealexjonesstore.com. But over at 1776rx.health, you get the ivermectin and benzidol together. That is the ultimate detox for not just parasites, but so much more. Take action now on that front. It is a no-brainer. So much of the benzidol, which I'm supposed to sell online, and the ivermectin is fake or adulterated. This is medical grade. We only bring in the best. 1776rx.health. But when you're on the AlexJonesStore.com, if you got to take one product, take our medical grade ultramethylene blue made in Florida. Because like I said, 8 years ago, my medical doctor owns a bunch of wellness clinics. He said, hey, get on methylene blue. And I said, okay, what type do you sell? And he goes, no, you get it on Amazon. Just make sure you get, pharmaceutical grade. Well, they say it's that, but it's not. Didn't do anything really. This is insane. I've given it to over 500 people. Maybe 3 of them didn't feel it within 20 minutes, 30 minutes. But take a low dose the first time, because some people have a crazy reaction and feel like they're on acid or something. I mean, it is amazing what it does to your metabolic level, it does your cells, how it skips the oxidation process. It is an incredible stimulant with no letdown. It is incredible. Ultramethylene Blue at thealexjonestore.com. And bovine colostrum. Now, we have a private label, that means of another company, that is the #1 top seller in the country. Most of the products at thealexjonestore.com are private labels of already a bestseller with 5 stars, top tested, loved. We're not reinventing the wheel here. You go to these companies, and most of them will let you sit there and put it out yourself. And we sell normally the bovine colostrum for about $6, $7 less than it's sold at Whole Foods. Same brand. They got a deal for only 1,000 people that I'm sure is already not available now. I plugged it in the first hour because it's at cost. 72% off with a subscription. Then you lock it in for perpetuity at $19.59 a month. And when I started reading this ad, because I didn't come up with this, I'm like, I've told them about 100 times, you got to make some money. Then I saw, only first 1,000 people. Whatever, folks. At $34.99, it's about to go back to. It's a great deal. It's sold in stores for $55, $60 all day long. Gut health, immune health, nutrient absorption. It's the first 2 weeks of a mammal is the colostrum. And cows are not the best colostrum for humans. It's human milk. But who's got mama there? We're not, newborns here. The next best in all the studies I've seen is jackasses. The royals and stuff will have special donkeys just for their kids on top of being breastfed to give them donkey milk. Donkeys probably better than us. I mean, whatever's going on with donkeys. Next, it's horse colostrum. Then it's goat colostrum. But cows is what you can mass produce. It's really, really good. It's the best you can get mass produced. If you want clean skin, healthy, everything, it makes your skin looks great, makes your nails grow better, makes your hair grow better. What do you think it's doing for everything else inside of you? So this bovine colostrum subscription fundraiser is designed to support all these great things: gut health, immune health, nutrient absorption, whole body recovery. 70% off. It's at cost, $90.59 a month. You can lock it at that price. I'm going to call Bigley up later and say, guys, I told you, stop selling stuff at cost. I mean, my God, big numbers, but don't keep any. I mean, that is a insane asylum deal. And so there you go. I'm like, why am I even reading this plug? It's like, it's just too good. So get that right now. Widest selection of Patriot apparel, the Irish sea moss, the Shilajee. It's all incredible. Not sexy names, but sexy effects. And that funds this operation. We need your support. People are like, sue the SPLC for infiltrating you illegally and they're under criminal investigation. Well, we are suing the Democrat law firms and groups that did this. We've been deposing them. We've been winning. You don't see it in the news. There's going to be some big announcements. I mean, I could already make the big announcement, but we got so much work going on that it has to do with the crew we have for the next big announcement. The crew all knows. They're all excited. I can't tell you. You heard all this stuff about how they took us over and all this. They had the fake auction before and the other stuff, and that failed. Well, this one took a little bit longer. And just wait till you see this victory, okay? My problem is I've been up here at 6 or 7 at night, almost every night on other shows, interviews, and it's really, I'm in charge. So I have to make the decisions about this. I have to get this set up. And if we had extra crew, we'd already be there, okay? So just believe me, we're all about action. We're all about victory. We're all about success. It's not like you're betting on a horse that hadn't won a bunch already. Just support us. Get incredible products. I wouldn't sell you something that doesn't work. TheAlexJonesStore.com. If you're not taking our colostrum, if you're not taking our methylene blue, you're cuckoo town. And if you're not detoxing a few times a year, in my opinion, my own personal view, on benzodol and ivermectin, you're nuts. This is what we covered the first 30 minutes of the show today. If you missed it, and just do your own research on benzodol particularly. So I'm done plugging. There we are. I'm counting on you. I thank you all for your support. We cannot do any of this without you, and you decide whether this dog hunts. So 2.5 weeks ago, I don't know, like 18 days ago, I looked up this morning, 80,000, wasn't 50,000, later confirmed. Now the official UN number is 78,000. Okay, whatever. 78,000 Islamic military-age men in Morocco, meaning land of the Moors, right there at the Strait of Gibraltar on the African side, swam around this seawall that sticks out like 800 yards and went into Spanish-controlled territories that have been there since the Spanish took those territories to stop Muslims invading. They've held it off and on for like 800 years. So, I mean, when President Jefferson, who was against outside wars, sent the Marines and hundreds of ships to go fight them, the first place they attacked. So the Muslim invasion point, and where their pirates would attack all our ships going through the Strait of Gibraltar. That's that choke point where it was Spain to the north and Portugal, and then you got Morocco, land of the Moors right there. So I said last week in headlines, I said, okay, well, they launched their last attack, because I could look at the local news and see all the footage of tens of thousands more pouring across. And I saw people going to Grok, Grok, is it true that there has been another invasion? And Grok's like, that has not been reported, because it goes off authoritative sources, the New York Times.